View. Now that we have the right sound, let me bring that up.
The cone of silence.
Only we need like the reverse. We need the reverse, right? Like the cone of obnoxious broadcasting. I don't know what that would be actually, but we need another cone. We need 2 cones. We need multiple cones. All the cones. It's good. It's good. All right. Well, I think I got. Let's see. Now I got. Yeah, let me double check. See what. Let's check out mumble audio here. Bring in the mumble room here. Beep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's all good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, Mr. Payne. I'm gonna have some. I have some tweaking to do for Mr. Payne. Mr. Payne. Mr. West Payne. No, Mr. Payne. I expect you to die. That's my Bond. No, Mr. Payne. I expect you to die. That's what I'd sound like if I was a Bond. If I was a Bond villain.
Happen.
Whoa. Hi there. Hi, Mumble Room. Hello.
Hey,
Eric.
Eric.
Hi.
You got 2 Erics.
Oh my goodness. Ericception.
See, here's the thing. You completely destroyed everything. Because I was Eric H1527 across the entire internet. Anywhere I set up an account. And then Chris and I had this exact same problem when you and I started hanging out in LUP at the same time. Because it was Eric H and Eric H1527. So,
Oh right.
Oh, yeah.
so this is your fault.
This is a pretty significant name collision, really. I mean, you know, there's lots of Erics and lots of Chris's in the world, but it's not often that the like the H in there collides or something like that. Like that's a good one. That is a good collision.
Yeah, definitely. Now, question is, was I here first?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's been years, right? So
You were
years.
you were here before me. You left about the time I showed up, and then I took a short break at the end of last year.
yeah.
And
But I feel
so
like he
we've
was
kind
here
of been back
long
and
enough
forth.
to have that namespace. You know, like he earned that namespace.
Okay,
I am raising my
fine.
arms in triumph right now.
What was I gonna say? I was going somewhere with that, but now I've lost anyways because that's just a funny picture. So I'm wondering if Eric is common enough because everywhere I've worked in my life, or like every social gathering I've gone to, or like church or anything like that, it's always been 5 or 6 other Chris's there with me. Like there's 5 or 6 other guys that are named Chris. Is that common with Eric?
It's not as common, but at least where I work, which is also a church, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting an Eric.
Oh, really? Yeah. See, I feel like everybody gives Bob and Joe and John a hard time, but I feel like the name Chris gets dropped a lot.
It got really popular back in the 80s, around
Yeah.
when we were born.
You know why? I think
Why is that?
I think it was Christopher Reeves. I think it was Superman. I really do.
That might actually be.
I think it was. I think it was. I think my mom had a thing for Christopher Reeves. That's what I think. So I'm telling you, I think he inspired a lot of baby names. Because technically my name is Christopher. Not just Chris.
Yeah, Chris and Christina were very popular back then,
my
so that
God,
would make sense.
I know. Oh my goodness. So many Christinas too. That's another one. And it feels like, well, so you can just put a Tina at the end of my name and all of a sudden it's feminine? Like I don't like it. It feels like it's cheap. It's like it's like when you get like a car and you start bolting on like a big old spoiler or something. It just doesn't feel right. It's like no, I mean that's added on. You're trying to make that a sportier thing than it is. No, just come up with your own thing. Make a new sporty car.
Well, for that matter, if you're going to go down females stealing male names, there's always Eric.
Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
right. I was trying to think while I was talking about that what the Eric equivalent would be. You're right. Adding the K.
Although the irony is, I dated an Erica, and she spelled her name the same way as I
No.
did, just with
Dude,
an
that
A.
would've been
It was
amazing.
hilarious.
That is an odd one, though. That must have been a conversation starter at the family events. Hello, Mr. West. One handsome Payne enters the building. Well equipped as always, looking dapper as hell, and always bringing goodies with him. Yeah. And then you've got, the other thing you've got with Chris, and you kind of have this with Eric too, is you've got all the different spellings of it, right? So you've got the.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, same
Hey,
with Chris.
I am living proof of that.
Yeah, you got Just the K is always, and then Fisher. People don't know if it's supposed to have a C or not. Doesn't, but people don't.
Or,
You know,
yeah.
people don't know, and so it's like they don't know if it's a K or a C. They don't know if there's an H in the first name. They don't know if the last name's got a C in it. I mean, it's such a basic name. It's so white bread, and yet it is so butchered so often. It's kind of, I don't know. I've never really thought about it that much, but
Yeah, I get the ERIC, the ERICK, the RICH, and then the one that really just floored me that made no sense whatsoever was ERIX. It's like, how do you even
What?
get
Ooh, that's
how do you
hip.
even get a
How do you
K
pronounce
sound
the
out of an X?
that's hip, dude. That's what that is. That's hip AF. That's great.
Oh, or there's ARIC.
Yes, I've gotten that
Oh,
before.
Or
Shut up.
AIRIC.
Nope,
which,
I can't allow that. That's too far. That's going too
Yeah.
far.
But I am now changing my handle across all of the internet again. I'm going to be ERIX just for the hell of it.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. The whole thing is like, I don't know. I think it's why why I prefer to use a lot of times people's online handles, because at least you get to pick those, and I don't know, they're more unique.
I didn't have enough imagination to do that.
Well, you know, if you get it out, if you get it soon enough, there's also value in having just a regular name, because almost nobody else comes in with a regular name.
Well, exactly. Like, I'm the only person. I was the first person on Twitter to grab my last name as the handle, so I was able to keep it for
good
10 years
score.
now.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I've had both a Hotmail account and a Twitter handle that in retrospect I gave up, and now in retrospect was a really, really, really bad idea. It was just first name, you know, I couldn't even believe it. But back then, like, I quit Hotmail, and of course I still don't use Hotmail. I quit Hotmail, and I also quit Twitter once. You know, as everybody, any good, ooh, energy drinks, nice. I could use that today. Like any good moody geek does when he's young, is I had to rage quit a few things, and so I rage quit Twitter early on and forfeited a pretty decent first name handle. What did I know? How come yours? What's going on? You're not muted.
Well, on Freenode, I also was able to snag my last name.
Oh, the thing's on the thing. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
really? That's nice.
Yeah, on Freenode, I snagged my last name, which is funny because I never thought to do that. Like, I was using my first name and last name all as one word. And
One word.
then I was just chatting away. I'm all of a sudden, I'm like, why didn't I think of that? So I checked to see if it was available. It was available.
That's fine.
Boom.
Oh,
done.
good job. Yeah, it was loose. You're right. There you go.
Did that come back?
Wes Travel Shat it.
Oh yeah. There we go.
Nice job, sir.
Whoa!
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Ah.
What a afternoon for some Linux.
It's gonna get warm in here. It's gonna get warm in here.
Thankfully, I've already taken off all of my clothes.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I need to catch up. I still have my socks on.
Ugh.
Whew.
It's because you're a dork.
Well, you know what? I like to dress snazzy.
Yeah, those go all the
You
way up
need
to
a
your
nice,
waist.
quiet central AC in that building.
No kidding. Did you see my rental out there I have? Yeah.
No, I did not.
No, I was talking to Wes that time.
I like that it said semi-hassle-free, like loaner car. They admit that it's not exactly hassle-free.
Isn't that funny?
That's like, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
at least they're cognizant.
I mean, you got to go down there. You got to give you the key. Here's my thing about rentals. And I don't know, this is a real first world privilege problem, but I feel like no matter what kind of car you have, this might apply. I feel like, first of all, keep in mind they're a dealership, right? So they've got lots of cars. Second of all, I feel like the rental car is the best of the sales opportunities.
Yeah.
So when somebody brings in their vehicle, if they've been a good customer, give them a nicer car. Let them drive a nicer car, and you might actually very likely get a sale out of them.
See what we could be doing for you?
Yeah, like if they would have loaned me one of their SUVs, which is only, I mean, they're not surprisingly not expensive compared to what other SUVs are. Hadia probably would have been demanding one. She's been thinking about getting one for a long time, and they would have probably made a sale, but instead they just gave me one of their cheapo. So I asked him. I said, why are you giving me a low end? Not that I'm complaining, but just out of curiosity.
But I am complaining a little bit.
Because they've got what they would call sales inventory, which are like the high end loaners, which are specifically like for the right customer, you can come in and you can get a car on loan for like 3 or 4 days or for a weekend or whatever. And so he's like, well, here's the problem with the high end cars is they build them now with get ready for this one, a learning transmission. And so it learns your drive style, and it adjusts its shifting to match your drive style.
What?
And when they give it out to a whole bunch of other people to drive it around, it fucks up the transmission. it gets all crazy, and the computer can't figure what to do with any of it, and it totally just starts.
So they can't
shifting.
just reset that every time.
That's what I was wondering, or tie it to a driver profile system or something.
mhm.
But no,
It's got to be like a factory reset button
I don't
under
know.
the engine or something.
I don't know.
Probably not enough Linux. That's it.
Dax would give me an IRC reminder to check my email. What'd you email me about, Dax? Maybe I read it.
No, he just knows you have a lot of unread mail and wants you to
Yeah.
check anyway.
You know what? Architect's right. If this was Google or Apple or Microsoft, they would say it's a deep learning AI assisted transmission.
Yes, they sure would, wouldn't they?
Powered by big data of your driving habits.
And all the people similar to you.
Yeah, I agree. 2361 or 2361. I think they should be able to reset it too. I think Wes is right. I asked him, and he just kind of gave me a non-answer. And I figured then he's gonna think I'm pushing it. I was just genuinely curious, so I didn't push any further.
Yeah. Trying to remain on the polite side of things.
I don't care what they give me, really. To be honest, they want to give me a cheapo freebie to drive around for the day while they fix up my vehicle. I'm fine with that. My truck.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is the truck?
So I took my truck in 2 weeks ago, and when I got back, and the day after, I can't remember, it was like right around the weekend I got back, and they're like, okay, well, Mr. Fisher, you have $6,500 worth of repair work here because they're like, you gotta recharge this thing in your back suspension. You've got this belt that needs to be replaced. You got a crack in your windshield, and of course, this is to say nothing about replacing all 4 tires, which would probably be $1,400 too. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm not going to do any of that, so thanks. So I take it back in for an oil change, and this was on Friday of this week. And they're like, well, okay, so there's also this and this wrong. So now the total, when you bring in the tires and the windshield, is $8,200 worth of repairs. I'm like, all right, I'm getting rid of that truck.
Yep.
Because the truck, it's a 2012 with 120,000 miles on it. So I'm like, all right, good enough. Thank you. I'm
I
done.
got your value out of
I was-
it. I'll move right
I was
along.
so wanting that other car anyways, so.
You were.
I just needed a good reason. Now I have one. Oh, that AC. It's so glorious. I'm just running it out while we can.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do.
Bren's got a house party going over at his
What?
place. Yeah,
And he didn't even invite us?
I know.
That is rude.
Sorry, guys, I couldn't find the mute button. Yeah, I've got my I got my good friend Real here. He's in town from out of town, and
In town from out of town.
in town
Welcome.
from out of town, and he's super interested in the Linux stuff, and we're doing a bunch of stuff around that. So
Cool.
this is his first time live in the Mumble Room, so he's going to be there.
Great.
So he's just getting set up. Someone's putting him through the audio grill there.
Right.
So
Nice.
yeah, so little bit of a I guess you can call it a party. I wouldn't
House
no
party.
streamers or
Yeah.
anything, but
Brent's
you
having-
didn't get streamers
There's
for
more
your
than one
house
person.
guest? Like that's just bad manners, man.
Yikes. Let's not mention that on air once we get started. That's
No.
embarrassing.
I mean, Chris puts up streamers here in the studio every time I show up.
Even sometimes when you don't,
Yeah.
just like in case you might show up and I
Yep,
didn't
and you
know.
get the banner out.
Yeah. It takes me about 25 minutes every day, but
It's worth it.
and then
It's
I take
the
it
little
down.
things.
Yeah.
gotta up the game, right? Well, if you have any other suggestions, you could reach me at
Or party planning.
Yeah, right. That's it. We need official Linux party planners. That's just what it is. Yeah.
Hey Wes, how's it going?
Hello,
Hi.
sir.
I didn't say hi. I was muted.
You were. Oh yes.
You're still a little low this week, but
Mhm.
I
The
know you're there
mystery.
'cause you're whispering.
Well, I don't think Noah had a chance to fix it. I don't
Mhm.
think.
Brown bear.
He was en route to the Hats of Red. I can't say where, but he was going somewhere, and I think he was distracted by hats that were red and did.
That's
not.
fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah,
We're boring over here.
that's true. We are kind of boring.
Well,
yeah.
you've got streamers.
Yeah. So yeah, we got streamers. We've got a mariachi band, but obviously they can't play because we're on the air, so they're just standing there. But
They're
they're
just
here.
standing
They're
there.
here. I just wanted them.
Instead of the ding
Why don't you have
bell,
them
we'll
like,
have them for
like
that.
man
Yeah.
the barbecue or something?
Yeah. That,
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
man. Good call. Good call.
You know what I've discovered? I don't know if I shared this story with you guys, but it's pre-show time, so we have time. In certain areas of Texas where people are doing well, the cost of living in Texas is low enough that like people have to come up with new ways to spend money. And so one of the monthly services that you can sign up for in Texas is you can have a yard guy. You got to have a pool guy because everybody's got a decent place has probably got a pool, right? So you got to have a yard guy. You got to have a pool guy but you also got to have a grill guy. The grill guy comes around and just like master cleans your grill once a month, like spick and span, top to bottom, just pressure washes it,
That
cleans
seems
it,
great.
and then you come out there and you've got a brand new grill. A grill guy that comes around and cleans grills. Of course, you've also got an AC guy, right?
Gotta have that.
You got the yard guy that also takes care of your watering. He's working with another guy that takes care of the sprinkler system. Yeah.
Do they have an IT guy that pressure washes your IT infrastructure?
I want a barbecue guy.
Maybe like a giant can of air strapped to his back that he's carrying around with a little handgun.
I feel like if I could have a barbecue guy, I'm doing pretty well. I'm distracted by this message. So Dax M, I love you, buddy, who has now PM'd me, or not, who has tagged me in IRC to tell me to check my email about free licenses for JetBrains. Wrong information for the Ask Noah page on the JP website. That's the part I don't get. Wrong information for the Ask Noah page on the JP website.
Perhaps JB.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring, but I still don't know what he means by wrong information. I love that smoke.
Maybe one of the last shows had a link to it and the link's broken or something?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's why I hate email.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though this is an IRC, this is why I hate email. Because you see, my email is
Hey everyone, we are live from my backyard where I am smoking a brisket and some ribs. I'm making meats
Look
now.
how
smoking
stoned
these
his eyes
meats
are.
here.
Whoa!
his eyes are
Early meat
roasted.
smoking. It's smoking. So I'm the meat chef. Yeah, someone asked me, do I smoke meat? Smoking meat. Smoking these meats. Smoking meats earlier in the day. Smoking these meats, just set the charcoal up and you set the wood chips up, and then smoking meats, grilling meats, good smoky flavor. Smoke a brisket for like 12 hours. You smoke lemon chicken, smoke salmon, you'll love it. Bison sirloin, ribs and sausage, so I'm looking forward to that. Today we got a brisket, I'm the big guy, and some pork ribs on the green egg.
You are making me hungry.
All right, I just had to take a little break from the chat room there for a second. Cause I don't know if you could tell, but I was starting to get on a trajectory where I was going to start getting worked up.
We don't want that.
And I had to
This is a calm show.
Yeah, I had to alter my course because I was starting to get upset by the fact that somebody was pinging me in the chat room to read my email, and then they weren't clear about it while they were telling me while I'm trying to get set up for a show at 1:59 and 45 seconds before my show starts.
Just think about Zuck.
So thinking about all that started to get me a little upset, right? So then I was just starting to think about smoked meats.
Yeah.
And then I felt a lot better. I felt a lot better after I started thinking about smoked meats.
I do have a 6-pound pork butt sitting in my fridge. I haven't done anything with it yet.
Are you going to sous vide or what are you going to do?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, boy. And then you can always finish it up, too.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
grill. Well, hello, Dan.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going over there?
Oh, it's going, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Dan the rabbit.
Dan, it is going. It is going. It is going. I see Cassidy up in staging. Right on.
Oh,
Yeah,
look
he
at
should
that.
be here soon.
That's awesome.
Elementary party. No, Daxum, it's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time because, it makes for good.
See, the elementary party, it has streamers. That's for sure.
That is definitely sure. It's just, it makes for a
But
good
does
pre-show.
it have smoked meats?
Smoked meats. Smoked meats. Smoked meats.
You know, auto-tune that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is good. So, what's running on your laptop right now there, Wes?
Right now?
Yeah, what you got on there?
Right now, it's Arch.
Oh, yeah, back to Arch. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But
You
there's
say,
like,
you
I'm going
say
to have
it like-
multiple installs.
You say it like you feel bad about it. Nothing wrong with Arch.
It's just it's been
It's
the
just
default for so
old.
long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not old because it's,
Oh.
fresh and rolling.
I see what you
It's
did
never
there.
old.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been doing so much work stuff. Like, I also have, I think it's just Ubuntu that I installed Plasma on, but that's running on here, and I mean, of course, a couple other things. I think Slackware is still hiding somewhere on this hard drive.
All right, to be honest, would you be tempted? Like, say SSD dies, you had to slap a new SSD in there tonight that you had at home. Like, you just had it ready to go. Blank SSD. You slap it in that so you can get back to work tomorrow.
It would be 1804.
Really? Not Arch, even though because you've had other things on there and you've come back to Arch.
It's true, yeah. I do like Arch a lot. it's really been a tipping point where I would almost certainly have Arch running in a container somewhere.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
really? Yeah.
yeah.
For like the AUR.
For various software packages, just playing with. It still runs on other of my systems, but I don't know. There's a certain amount of like I feel like if even when I do an Ubuntu system to get it really customized, I have to do a lot of like undoing, and in Arch you do, but
That's
to just
true.
get up to speed, it's just such a good pace.
That is true.
That's really funny because I was up until almost 3 a.m. rebuilding my home machine with 1804 away from Arch after almost 2 years.
Oh, hey, yeah.
What pushed you?
Just random bugs and crashes that I couldn't really explain. It probably wasn't Arch itself. It was probably the build. But I swapped out motherboards and somehow just completely destroyed my bootloader and decided, you know what, I want to give 1804 a try. So I've got that running and everything's a mess right now. I've got Windows everywhere.
Sometimes curiosity is enough of a reason, really. I have been struck by the thing that I was and I should probably put this into a show. I probably should save this. But I don't know. Too late. The thing that I've been the most struck by is I was really anxious about software availability. That's what I focused the most on if I switched away from Arch, is how the hell was I going to install anything? And I have not, just legitimately, I guess I could maybe say one singular time, maybe, but it's not even, doesn't really stand out. It really just has not been an issue. Maybe one time it was a problem, but otherwise it has been a total all software that I've needed I've been able to get my hands on.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I think the software availability has been a big change in Ubuntu's favor. I mean, there's always great, but Arch just had that, whatever you wanted, it was there. But everything else it's snapped or Docker or app image maybe.
Or in the App Center.
Yep.
And that's something that really shocked me because when I first started to move off of Mac OS 2 years ago, Ubuntu was the first place I went. Actually, Fedora was the first place, but Ubuntu was definitely the second. And in that time, since I went from Ubuntu to Arch and now trying 1804, pretty much everything, my list of applications that I took off of my Arch machine and put into a text file on Nextcloud, I basically just went through and rewrote my how to install this machine doc, just a whole bunch of text files with command lines, and most of it ended up being in one apt-get command. Like you said, there's 3 or 4 that were snaps. I don't think I've got any app images, and I know for sure I don't have any custom compiled. I was blown away.
Yeah, it's a different era. I'm stalling because I really don't want to turn off that air conditioning.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm going to take my socks off, and then I'm going to be fully
Just
naked.
stretch a bit, enjoy while you have it.
Cassidy. Hello, Cassidy.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we should probably get rolling. Which means I gotta take off the socks.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Can we just pause for a quick moment?
Yeah.
I've got this.
What is there, Brent? What do you need?
Well. I got this strange Audacity problem where I just can't get the mic doing anything. So.
Maybe. Okay.
Is that essential, or
So
you
it
want
is
me to solve it here
possible.
for 30
It is
seconds?
possible. It is possible. What may have happened is that your default Pulse audio input device has changed, but Source Connect has the correct device selected, so it is irrelevant as to what Pulse is using for the matters as of terms of Source Connect's concerned. So what you may want to check there is your Pulse audio inputs. It would be nice. It is not critical. I will have a recording going here, but if you don't have it, then we don't have a backup, which is not comfortable, but obviously it's doable. Safety first.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's producer Chris. He comes out sometimes. A little producer.
Producer Chris is from
and so-
Texas.
He is, yeah.
I don't know, actually. I think it's been a
That's definitely what it sounded like.
I mean, all that smoked meat discussion, it just characters that.
Smoked meat.
Hello.
Time appropriate greetings.
Hello. How are you doing?
Very good. I'm in vacation mode. Very busy channel today.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
I was telling him
Thank you for
earlier
making it.
how jealous I am.
I told everybody I'm sitting in front of the swimming pool. I have a glass of wine here.
Oh.
I'm listening to you. Everything's okay.
that sounds
All right.
incredible.
That's not bad. We should be doing that. What the hell are we doing?
I should have
I'm
asked
gonna
you.
change for a beer now because otherwise I will be drunk.
No, that's what we like it. We like it.
That's
that way.
fine. It's Linux Unplugged.
I
Man.
should have asked you, Minigun. Is it
Okay.
red? Is it red or is it white?
Also, probably my microphone is not that good because I'm wearing the Logitech headphone and
You
not
know,
the
I
usual
mean,
microphone.
It's not horrible. You're definitely understandable. So don't be shy. I mean, you're coming through.
I was
Okay.
asking if your wine's red or white.
Oh, it's an Italian one. No, that one is from Switzerland, from the district of Tessin. It's a Merlot. It's a red wine.
Oh, a Merlot. Well, think
Or Merlot, as
just
Chris would say.
we've just lost Brent. So once Brent's back, we'll get
We're just gonna call this extended pre-show.
Yeah.
Pre-
You know,
pre-show?
So I'm curious, if I filed a pull request to Minimec, if I could actually pull a drink from the bar he's at.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
There's only one way to.
If only you could transmit wine as data.
I mean, I could start sending you a picture, but I don't
Recipes?
think it's the same thing.
Recipes.
That would just make me more sad.
Probably.
The
Can
funny,
you download alcohol?
you know, there's really, I have no excuse to do it, but God, I would love to do like a beer recipe one day where like people, like Wes and I go somewhere and brew beer because there's places you can go to brew beer, and then like we share the recipe with the audience brews the beer, and then people get in the mumble room and we all talk about the beer. Nothing to do with Linux. I just can't justify it, but gosh, that'd be fun for me personally.
Do you know that I was in a brewery once? I know some recipes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do.
3D printed.
We
booze.
we had a really good stout. We have a really good stout. It's called Old Cat. It's a really good stout.
Okay, you think I could look it up? Do you think I'd see it?
Yeah, try to
Cats.
Freemoose Old Cat.
No.
I'm
Never
smelling
the
a
Old
beer
Cat
is
stout,
tasty
you find.
revival.
Free moose, huh? That's a good name. I'm not getting. Oh, of course, when I search for.
So it's French. It's French because it's mousse is the white part of the beer, not the pot.
Okay. Unfortunately, there's so much moose over here, and with Montana and Alaska, and then when you search for old cats, the internet's so full of cats. This is a difficult one to find. The internet. You know what? There might be more cats on the internet than porn.
Well,
No,
technically,
I
that's
read an
no
article
longer
that now
because-
dogs are taking now the first thing when it comes to YouTube videos about animals.
I mean, I don't want to make this about cats and dogs, but dogs are clearly superior. I
Well,
I do agree.
because the dogs.
Here.
Hello, welcome back.
Hey, thanks.
Dogs are, cats are perfectly fine as far as like an animal that hangs out around your house and eats food and costs money. Like,
It's kind of just part of the household
Yeah.
in a way that a moving piece of furniture might be.
and if you're into an animal that like can have diarrhea and piss itself and all that kind of stuff and do it in the house,
A cat is like a fish, but you live in the fish tank.
yeah, that's good for that. No, I just for me, I like going for walks with the animal. I like going on a car ride. Like that's the stuff I like. So that's why I'm more of a dog person. But I've had cats and I thought they were great. So I just tease. I don't want to get anybody riled up. I know that's a sensitive
Yeah.
topic.
On your beer note, actually, Brian Brushwood actually made a beer for the Scam School audience, and they were like timing the beering process to their anniversary, I think.
Oh, cool.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'd totally release the recipe. That's totally something.
Right?
I'd
Why
do.
not?
Could be kind of a fun vlog series too. So Brent, how's your audio stuff looking over there, Mr. Payne? Would you mind killing the?
Well,
I will do the deed.
You can still hear me. I don't know what's going on with.
Okay. All right, we'll fly without backups. You know what?
Living on the edge.
It's how we roll, man.
I don't
It's how,
like it.
It's
but-
how we roll. It's how we do it around here.
Mm,
Oh God, there it goes. Wow, that makes such a difference. It really is a noticeable difference in volume.
between.
Here, everybody's wet now.
Our ears are just so good at filtering it out.
Yeah. Oh man.
Unfortunately, not these microphones.
It's already gotten warmer. It already is warming up a little bit. Okay, so
well, there's no breeze anymore. Also,
yeah, I was trying to
Because-
explain to Michael last night in the Jupiter Broadcasting Telegram because Self wants to start shooting, not Self, Texas Linux Fest wants to record every talk, and I'm like, okay, just get there days early because like the microphone does not hear what your ears hear in those rooms. The
Totally
microphone
right.
hears a totally different thing, and you're going to be surprised what it sounds like. So it's a difficult thing. And I wonder if we shouldn't be recording these talks. If they should. Anyways, that's another discussion for another day. So, guys, we need to do a little moment of silence and stuff here. Brent, I guess we don't need to worry about syncing up our whatchamacallit because you're not recording. So I'll just you don't have to play that game. You do have to play the quiet game. You don't
Well,
have to play
in the time that I said I wouldn't fix
Your
it till now, I
face.
just fixed it.
What are you, Scotty over there, Mr. Scott?
Hey.
The miracle worker. All right. Well, then arm yourself. When I say we'll do 1, 2, 3, and then record. So 1, 2, 3, record, and then we'll hit it, and then we'll do our moment of silence. Are you ready over there, sir?
Wait, we're saying record, not for?
Well,
All right,
we will
that's
do.
fine,
No,
that's
no,
fine, that's
no,
fine.
no. I see the record is for when we click record. The 4 comes later, so Joe can sync us up. That's
Oh,
two
I
different-
see.
Yeah.
All right.
We
all
will
right,
do
all
both.
right, give me a
Don't you
second.
worry. We will get to do both.
I love both. That's
Aren't
the
you
thing.
excited? All right, here we
I'm
go.
very excited.
1,
I'm ready.
2, 3, record. And now we're going to do. We can all do it together. Mumble Room, you can do it.
Ooh.
Wes, you can do
Yeah,
it.
why not?
All right, so I will count up to 4. You guys chime in at 4. I get to do. Just me gets to say 1, 2, 3. It's good to be the boss. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Four.
Nailed it. Good job, gentlemen. And now, please sit quietly. Don't breathe. Don't move. Don't fart. Don't bump your table. We're gonna have a moment of silence in 3, 2.
And the value of this is negative.
There we go. Good. So well done. That was yeah. Thanks. Good. I'm glad that got in there because otherwise that we would have been missing on something. Okay, I think we're good across. This is fun. This is a big production. I'm actually using all of the things on this mixer right now. That's pretty great. Okay.
Getting that money's worth.
Yeah, no kidding. Good thing since I had to buy it twice. Fuck you,
Right?
Amazon. Still not happy about that. My own hard-earned Bitcoin.
We're going to make him feel bad by doing a really great Linux Unplugged.
Yeah, man. That's right.
The cone of silence.
You gotta love those mixers, though.
Yeah, they are great.
Yeah, use 2 of them.
So
I love them.
Oh, the old man almost came out. Brent, I want to let's talk about your intro here for a second before we get going. So see, the way we do it is I'll say my name is Chris, and then you usually say my name is Wes, and then I'm not. How should we bring Brent in? Because I don't feel like I should say.
My name is Noah.
That'd
Yeah,
be good.
that's it. That's it. Yep.
I think you. Yeah, and I think you
We're
should
going to
just.
confuse any new listeners.
You should just bring yourself in because I think it's awkward if I say and Brent's here too. Bonk. You know what I'm saying?
So you'll finish the and Wes, and I'll say, "Oh, hey guys," and I'm
So
here.
I'll say my name is Chris,
My name is Wes.
and then you can say
and my
whatever-
name is Brent.
Yeah, that's fine. That'll be
Why don't we
fine.
just do it like
Lovely.
I think that's good. All right. I think I like the consensus we just came there to. It was good.
It's a cascade.
Good work, gentlemen.
So beautiful. All right, here we go. Muting you, muting this, muting that. Everybody but me is now muted. Oh, fuck, the pre-show. Damn it. All right, everybody is unmuted. There we go.
Fire up for pre-show.
Good. I had such a good time chatting with you guys that I forgot I actually set something
We could have just
aside.
made this the show, and it would have been, much worse.
Yeah,
but
I know.
more fun for the rest of us.
Let's see. How do I get into this? We had good momentum going. I had good momentum. Let's see here.
Well, don't you know about what the internet is like, Chris? Like being on a guided tour bus in an unfamiliar city.
Wait, start that over so there's a clear edit there, and then we'll just go with it.
I don't know about you, Chris, but if you've been on the internet, you'll find it's like being on a guided tour bus in an unfamiliar city. Don't know what that means? Yeah, no, me either, but Mozilla has other things to say.
Hey, get ready for Advance. It's a new test pilot experiment by Mozilla. It's a Firefox web extension that works by analyzing the content you're into right now in order to provide recommendations based on what you may want to read next. So it's like Stumble Upon, Wes, built right into Firefox maybe one day. It's an experiment right now called Advance.
Okay.
It's Advance.
I will say I am somewhat of a sucker for things that just give me links that I like if they work well. If they work well, then, it's just more awesome things to find on the internet.
I don't know, Wes. Next thing you know, you're reading something about the sous vide, and then you're on a page telling you they're turning the frogs gay.
That's information I want to have.
I don't really know how good of a pre-show that was. I feel like our stuff that wasn't recorded was a lot better.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's going to be one of those shows.
Doesn't this feel like a little bit like the Pocket recommendations? I know Joe probably has something to say about that, but
yeah, it does, right?
It seems a little bit similar to me, except it's doing your whole browser history, right? Is that the difference?
Yeah, and also looking at what you've browsed at in the recent session too. Like I guess like they say it's the combination of recommendations driven by relevance combined with the content you're into right now. I really don't like the way Mozilla writes anymore. It's so thick. It's so corporate 500. It's just like I don't know. It's hard to interpret.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot. There's a lot of vagary in there, but you can go grab the extension, I suppose, and take a look at it. It's a test pilot. All right. Well, now with that shitty pre-show, we should probably start the show. No, we won't be talking about Alex Jones.
Could do a backup pre-show.
Ba, 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 ba. You got another idea? Because I did not like that one.
Sometimes the audience has ideas.
Anybody got a pre-show topic? Anybody? Pre-show topic? Mumble room?
That Patrick Stewart's back in Star Trek? Oh, wait.
That is
wrong
a good,
show.
That could be a post-show topic.
It sure could.
That could definitely be a post-show topic.
Android Pie.
That's a main show topic. That's not a pre-show topic.
True,
God damn,
true.
come on, that's so obvious. Yes, I'm being picky. So what? Yeah, no, we are going to talk about P a bit in the show, but yeah.
I might have something, maybe
is-
two things.
Okay, what is it?
So you're gonna have some choices. So there's those stats from Valve that were talking about some of the percentage of Linux users and stuff. Although that might be old, but my number one recommendation was going to be the GNOME Foundation funds that they received.
Did we? I guess,
I
yeah,
don't
we covered
know.
that in land,
I
but it's
don't
not in
think-
this show. Yeah.
Right. So
By the way, I got some stream. Normally, for the Linux users, Steam did not do that participation survey very often, but I get them more often now.
Oh, good.
So
Good.
yeah, I get them more often now.
All right. Well, let's do the let's redo it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do that. And we'll go with the GNOME Foundation thing. So Brent, why don't you go ahead.
Sorry, no, you go.
I was gonna say, why don't you
Your show.
reset us up with? Did you see the chunk of change or something? Say something about the money that GNOME recently got, the GNOME Foundation recently got, or GNOME or whatever, and then we'll go with it. We'll roll from there.
Okay. Hey, Chris, did you see the GNOME Foundation received a whole bunch of money lately?
Yeah, they got 400,000 in total. Like 300,000 is going to the foundation, and another 100,000 is going to GIMP. It's awesome. It's all coming from this mysterious handshake.org. I gotta be honest, Wes, I did not know about handshake.org. I don't think before I saw this.
Kind of a sleeper project, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of promising what has always been hoped for, which is decentralized, permissionless naming, like DNS, and certificate trusts. And it works with DNS in a way.
Put that another way, an experimental peer-to-peer root DNS server.
This is very fascinating and a great idea. I'd love to know more about them, so we might reach out in the future and have a chat with them. But yeah, this is great. In fact,
Even if we haven't heard about them, that they have this kind of money to slosh around, not only seems to benefit us a lot, but does make me think like, okay, what's going on over there?
perhaps this will relate to something else we're going to talk to. Perhaps this will relate to something else we're going to talk about today. Strokes the beard randomly.
I really like hearing that the GIMP is getting some good pushing forward as a photographer. I think that's really awesome. They're doing some good work lately.
It's been good news for GIMP recently.
Yeah, their last update was fantastic. So if that can just keep continuing.
It's really warm. Okay, I think we're ready. That was good. Thanks. Good
Good
suggestion.
suggestion, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
I guess that's why I'm here.
There you go. There you go. I want to hear this to see if I can use this. Oh, I can't use this. Oh, yes, I can use this.
DigitalOcean's cloud computing platform was designed with simplicity in mind.
That's right.
Giving development teams the ability to easily manage.
I think I will use that. That's pretty good. All right, here we go, guys. Buckle the F up. It's for real this time. I'm muting all of the things. Chat room, you're the only thing unmuted, actually. That's weird. There's parts of this show where the only thing unmuted is the chat room. That's weird. Anyways, bang, suggest, would you? Okay, thanks.
You learn something new about your show every day.
Use your privilege wisely, chat room. Thank you. For gosh sakes.
I think that we should all make those businesses fail.
This is Linux Unplugged, episode 261 for August 7th, 2018. Oh, welcome to Linux Unplugged, your weekly Linux talk show that's fully staffed and ready to podcast. My name is Chris.
My name is Wes.
And my name is Brent.
Hello, guys. We have a great show coming up today. 261 is packed full of great community good news, really, including new features that are coming to Linux, great news for friends of the show, new features that are surprising to even Microsoft, and hope for those of us that want to play Windows games on Linux, as well as a couple of great apps, an update on our community PeerTube instance, and a breakdown of what's got our attention in the new Android Pie release. That's a ton of stuff this week.
Absolutely packed.
And not only do you have your humble hosts, myself,
Wes, and Brent, but you have that virtual time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
Hello.
What's up?
Greetings.
Whoa!
Hello.
I don't know if it comes across, but that's a full room this week.
I'm excited too. I think they're raring to go.
I'm raring to go, Wes. Tell you what, I've been out there in the heat, charging myself like Superman, preparing myself to podcast this week, because the news has even reached the halls of Microsoft. It's undeniable the power of developers on Linux. July ended with 3.97 million starts of PowerShell core, 82% of which were all on Linux. They were expecting those numbers to be reversed, and they thought it would be on Windows 10. This is when my little birdie tells me that would be in a position to know that they were expecting the numbers to be the exact opposite. They thought that Linux would be around 20%, and Windows 10 would be around 80-ish%.
I mean, that's how it normally goes.
And they got the numbers back from the Insight metrics that they collect, and 82% of the PowerShell start instances happened on Linux boxes. That's Microsoft's own shell. Okay? I mean, that's why that really gets me. It's not like it's Bash, okay? It's PowerShell.
I'm really curious to know what all those people are using it for. I mean, not that they are not legitimate uses. I'm just genuinely interested.
See, I always had a theory the whole PowerShell core coming to Linux thing was really a gift to system administrators who wanted to use Linux and still manage a bunch of Windows boxes. And I wonder if that's a bit of what's going on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's your little open source tie-in into that system.
There's also certain things about PowerShell that are very, very appealing when you compare it to certain other shell environments, which I am not an expert to get into, but we did cover that in a past episode if people want to know. I just thought that was a fascinating stat to start with right there.
Not one we
I also love hearing that. 82% of anything is on Linux. I think that's a really good thing for us.
That's very true. That is very true. I want to give a special shout out to not one, but two fine gentlemen from the Elementary OS project. Hello to Dan and Cassidy. Good to have you guys here.
How's it going, man?
Guys, I feel like we should start. On a journey. I want to go on a journey with you guys to talk about where we're at. But the reason why they're both here, one of the reasons at least I assume, is last week Cassidy announced that after quite a while at System 76, he is going full-time at Elementary OS. And that's massive. For anybody who's ever had a side passion project that they were super committed to, there's always been that agony to go full-time. I'm pretty familiar with that. So Cassidy, I'm just super happy for you, man, because I can imagine how good that must feel. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really stoked.
So we are going to get to that as well as some other potentially interesting community news. But the crew voted, and we decided to start with just a bit of a TechSnap security notice in a way. Really here, it's this vulnerability notice for a flaw in the Linux kernel TCP implementation, which makes it vulnerable to an easy denial of service attack. Linux kernel versions 4.9 and above can be forced to make a very expensive call to the TCP collapse queue and the TCP prune queue calls for every single incoming packet, which would lead to a denial of service. They say can, but of course that would. An attacker can induce a denial of service condition by sending specially modified packets within ongoing TCP sessions. Maintaining the denial of service condition requires continuous 2A TCP sessions on a reachable port. Thus, the attacks cannot be performed using spoofed IPs. But the impact is a remote attacker may be able to trigger a denial of service condition against a system with an open port, and it's on anything above kernel 4.9.
Yeah, that's rough, especially if you're running a server out there on the internet.
Yeah.
It looks like less than 2 kilobits per second of an attack traffic. You can then just totally load a box, delay all the network traffic. That's not really good if you are trying to serve web pages.
This is how podcast wars will be fought in the future once they become big business franchises. That's so funny to even think. The podcast wars. When it's just 5 podcast companies left, they begin exploiting old Linux boxes on the internet with denial of service attacks.
I mean, when you're too busy making podcasts to patch your box, that's your problem.
Who can patch? Anyways, the crew wanted to get you. The crew being those of us that chatted about it earlier today, which was a few of us thought, you know what? If we're going to talk about this in the show, we should probably get it out there.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a more you know kind of thing.
And there's no real workaround except an updated kernel. So
yeah.
Go look for those.
Yeah. Okay, now here's the news I've been avoiding, even though it's the beginning of the show. I've been delaying to get to this point because I feel like it's going to be perceived as an attack, and it is not an attack, it is an analysis. And we start with a piece that was written about common causes of Fedora workstation crashes, and the fact that they have been traced back to GNOME shell JavaScript extensions crashing. So here's the scenario. And this is a write-up that we'll have linked in the show notes at linuxunplugged.com/261 if you would like to read it yourself or if you've been experiencing some instability issues. Now, this is predominantly the worst on Fedora 28 because it's using Wayland, and here's the scenario. A GNOME shell extension crashes. That takes out the shell. When the shell goes out, it takes out Mutter, which is the thing that's talking Wayland. That is the display server, and you lose your entire desktop because a shell extension crashed. That's very upsetting. And so the developers have started talking about ways to potentially resolve this issue. There's been a few different discussions, really. So this isn't any one particular developer's idea. It's been kicked around a lot, even at this year's GWADEC. The idea could be to perhaps just sort of enhance the existing behavior in GNOME shell, where when it crashes and it comes back, the shell, when it comes back, all extensions are disabled, and it's up to the user to sort of go through and play Russian roulette and re-enable their extensions until they get to the thing that crashes. Of course, we all know in the real world, you don't crash immediately. Often it's a day or two later, so it's really hard to actually figure out which one it is, even if you're checking the logs. But that's sort of the most easy course to take, is you just sort of change the way the shell crash behavior works. Another possibility that has been considered is decoupling GNOME shell and Mutter. But obviously, that would require major architecture changes, something we've talked about on this show before, and also likely changes in the way extensions behave, and the creation of some sort of IPC communication system in the background. Then there's a third proposal, perhaps in some ways the easiest proposal, but the most controversial proposal, and that's discontinuing unlimited extensions, introducing a limited API they can use, instead of hot patching, because this is how it works right now, like the old Mac OS Classic extensions that literally hot patched Mac Classic. Right now, extensions on GNOME shell are hot patching the GNOME shell code itself. Obviously, this is risky. And if you introduced an API that the extensions could use, and you could even limit that API, it would mean that basically all of the existing extensions would have to be completely re-implemented, and likely some of their feature sets that they take advantage of now because they can just insert themselves in the code of the shell, they would lose that access and the functionality would be gone. So this is a difficult point that GNOME is approaching, and they're not necessarily taking any action right now. These are just things that they're concerned about. And there's also a conversation at the same time, and again, just discussions. And this is how this is supposed to work. And we should give them the space and the room to make these discussions. But also ongoing right now are discussions around removing the theme capability from GNOME. I'm going to let that sit in for a second. One theme, their theme. No more custom distro themes. And that's a big one. Think about how Canonical sort of makes their GNOME shell theirs. Fedora puts their touch on it as well. Everybody does. And that's it's sort of a kind of distinguishing feature of GNOME 3 in a way. And really, that distinguishing choice is one of the standout features of the Linux desktop, to have that level of choice. But I have seen what an absolute shit show that code really is. You're hot patching CSS. You're going in there and you're yanking out lines of code in CSS and putting in new ones, and then you're reloading the shell and seeing what the hell happens if the shell even loads again. That's how you create a GNOME shell theme. And the way anybody gets it done right now is they fork. That's why everybody forks themes now, because so much of that super crazy ass hard initial work has been done. So people are just building on top of other themes now, because you got to kind of be a masochist to go back and do that to yourself. And I watched somebody do it at a Canonical event. And let me tell you, that was one of the things that, I'm not joking, made me switch to Plasma. When I saw how that was being done, I completely lost faith. And that was one of the things that made me switch to Plasma. When I saw that, I went, holy shit. So I can understand why they would want to get rid of that functionality entirely. Not only that, but it creates consistency for developers, and it solves security potentially and stability issues potentially. And it solves a problem they call visual fragmentation, which sounds just great. Across the GNOME desktop ecosystem exists visual fragmentation, and it's very real, and it's a problem for app developers. Since very few distributions ship GNOME as is, it's hard to determine what visual identity GNOME is, and therefore it's difficult to know what visual system to build your applications for. The biggest offenders continue to be downstream projects that theme GNOME extensively by overwriting the default icons and style sheets and insist that part of their own brand identity. But so long as that practice carries on, this fragmentation will continue. Now, I thought to myself, holy crap, that would be a massive change. And I was really curious to know what one Mr. Daniel Foray thought. So I went to his Twitter feed. He says, you have to think about the fact that GNOME was used, GTK, I should say, GTK Plus is used outside of GNOME. And that right there, I think, brings this whole thing into perspective. This really underscores how in the bag GTK Plus, that toolkit is for GNOME. It really is the GNOME shell desktop toolkit. And what do you think about this entire proposal, Dan? Do you think it's going to go anywhere? Do you think it's just sort of, skunkworks talk right now, or are you concerned this may actually progress into something that could be difficult for elementary OS to deal with? Because I would have to imagine you guys really rely on these mechanisms quite a bit to create the elementary look.
So we actually went out to Guadec and we participated in the theme discussion overall talk, right?
Pause 1 second there, Dan. Pause 1 second. I think your audio interface did what mine just did earlier today, where it's flipped from 48 to 44, 44 to 48 or something. You might have to close Mumble and unplug your USB interface and plug it back in, and then reopen Mumble.
Okay, do that. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you sound hilarious. That's great. I love that.
Damn it.
So great. It's all right. How you doing, Puppy? We miss you. Oh, you're there.
Hello.
Oh, I didn't know you were there. Oh, hi.
Hello, peekaboo.
Oh, I probably would have brought you in on some of this.
No, it's fine.
Well, hello. It's good to have you here.
Did we fix it?
Yes, you sound great. All right. So
Yes.
do you remember where you were at?
Right. Ready?
Yeah.
Moment of silence real quick. So we actually went out to Guadalajara and we participated in the talk, the theming kind of discussion, API overall talk, and kind of the takeaway is that there's a lot of different parties, right? They kind of have competing interests. There's GNOME as a platform. There are other GTK platforms like Elementary. There are kind of GNOME downstreams like Ubuntu and Pop OS. We have app developers and we have users, and they all have different things they care about, right? And the kind of overarching theme of the discussion is how can we make everyone happy? And I don't think that there's anyone on the either inside or outside of GNOME that wants to introduce a sweeping change that's going to make any of these parties like really upset. I think we're all trying to work together. And the kind of overarching idea that came out of that talk was we need to make it easier for downstreams from GNOME to write style sheets that are fully compatible with Adwaita so they can keep doing their branding without adding an extra burden for developers.
So is that your way of saying something's going to change, but it probably won't be the end of the world for people that want to have their own downstream identity?
I'm not necessarily sure something will change as far as the internals of GTK, but I think that in terms of like more and better documentation or more and better tooling.
Oh, that would be okay. Oh, okay. I follow you. That would be a really positive development. That would be a good thing.
So I think that everybody wants to make sure that, you know, everybody's freedoms are still preserved, right? Like it's a real pain for developers if we start locking down things because then it makes our development environment hostile, right? Like that's not fun. So nobody really wants to do that. You know, we want to make sure that third-party developers have a stable and consistent platform to target. So if they choose to write an app for GNOME, that it works how GNOME apps should work. And if they choose to write an app for Elementary, that it works how Elementary apps should work. We just want to make sure that our developers have something sane to target. And it seems that the way to do that is to make it easy for people to write style sheets that are compatible with Adwaita or style sheets that are more compatible with Elementary OS.
All right. Okay, so you've convinced me I won't be making a prediction at the end of the year that Elementary OS announces the switch to Qt in 2020. So, okay. All right, I'm convinced for now. So do you have any other comments, thoughts on this story? I know one of their concerns was visual fragmentation. Do you have any thoughts about that as an issue for the GNOME desktop? You have your Ubuntu look now, you got your Fedora look now, SUSE looks a certain way, Antigros looks a certain way. They all are shipping a GNOME shell, but they all do look a little different. They even the way they function's a bit different due to different extension implementations or lack thereof in some cases. Do you have any thoughts on that particular concern, just as GNOME shell as a brand, as an identity itself?
Yeah, I think that people who try to make the conversation about branding like don't understand the problem. It's not about branding at all, and people try to like get down on designers and talk about control, and it's not really about like control either. The thing is, like when we started that discussion, everybody in the room had an example of an application on their computer that was broken because it was developed against a style sheet that they weren't running, and so that's what the problem is that's trying to be solved. It's not necessarily about branding. Like, yeah, Ubuntu wants to have their brand, but
it's also about trying to make a good experience.
Yeah, it isn't about trying to take away people's ability or enforce a brand or anything like that. It's about making sure that applications aren't broken is what we all care about.
A fundamental level of consistency so that you actually have a platform.
Yeah, we just want like you to load an application and not have, you know, a spinner that's crazy huge or text that's invisible, or like style sheets are super powerful and they can make your app look really crappy, and then developers get complaints from users and then they're like, hey, you know, what the hell, you changed the style sheet that I built my app against and now it doesn't work. And you know, we're trying to make people happy, and it's a super hard problem.
Yeah. Popey, I don't know about you, but I feel like I've seen this movie before. It kind of goes something like this. Hey, here's an idea, and then the internet freaks out. You're going to take away my toy. and then it kind of ends up being not quite as big of a deal as everybody expected it. Do you think that's what's happening here, or do you think this could be a major shift, considering the talk about extensions too?
So this is one of the pitfalls of us doing open source development. You can imagine that there are massive bun fights inside Apple and inside Google and inside Microsoft when they're talking about their OSs, and all the relevant parties and all the people who have vested interest in whatever that feature is will all be discussing this, and then it comes to a conclusion and a decision is made and the solution is published. Whereas with open source, you have people who have different vested interests from different parties, like Dan and Cassidy from Elementary, and people from Endless, and people from Canonical, and people from Red Hat, all getting together and discussing this stuff in the open. And when there's a whole load of peanut gallery outside who are getting snippets of conversations from one party, from one side of the conversation, and then rebroadcasting that, it doesn't help, because everyone has a slightly different perspective. Dan has a different perspective than I would, I'm sure. So yeah, it's totally examinable.
What's the name of that gal who went and observed the monkeys forever? What was that gal? You know, she like fell in love with a monkey. She loved a monkey. What was that? Come on.
That's Jane Goodall.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Brent. Yeah. I feel like that's got to be our approach with this stuff. Like, we can get the binoculars out, we can get ourselves a fancy like jungle suit and all that kind of stuff. But you know, we only can really observe. We can only observe here. The process is the process. They will go through whatever process that is, and we just happen to get to watch it. And it's a neat opportunity for us, especially for podcasters. But it is a really hard line to walk, because taking away themes and taking away extensions causes an emotional reaction, and then you want to respond to that. So I think my point is just, I think sometimes these things start somewhere that can be scary to the end user in a degree. And I don't mean to say that like to belittle people, but it is kind of it's a jarring thing. Maybe that's a better word. It's jarring to the end user.
I don't know. I think part of your observation, like the fact that we can observe what's going on. Yes, we can, but it's open source. You could also get involved. There's nothing stopping someone doing a Google Summer of Code project to isolate and separate out extensions, or build something that does some validation of extensions, or captures the trace of an extension at the point when it falls over or something. You know, there's plenty of opportunities to improve what we have. It doesn't have to be, well, we're going to have to throw this away. There's an opportunity, because it's open source, for people to get involved. But it's difficult when there's lots of parties.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't have to spend a lot more time on this, but while I have your ear, one more question to you is, wouldn't we be better off if it was all just one look and one standard, and it was sort of the way Windows and Mac are? I mean, I'm not saying I want it that way, but I'm saying if your goal is to attract more developers and more end users, wouldn't that be better?
I don't know, would it? I mean, you look which project gets to decide what that one look would be?
Well, the GNOME project,
right? And maybe other people have, so long as it's there's a feedback loop there that allows people who are consumers of the work that the GNOME project do to feedback, and there is at Guadec, and there are mailing lists, and there's IRC, and all kinds of ways to feedback to GNOME to say, hey, look, that's not working, we need to do something else. That's exactly what is happening now. It's this extension thing isn't working, this theme thing isn't working. People are providing feedback. It doesn't have to be, they could come up with one theme, but consumers would decide whether that's a good thing or not, really.
And this is part of the process. As much as we sometimes, as you and I hate it, but it is part of the process just to watch and see where they go and talk about it a little bit. I think it is worth exploring. I think it's worth exploring the way they do extensions. I think they're a reasonable way to extend a desktop when you have a team that does have limited resources. I mean, they did just get some money, but it's only going to last them so long. And development takes time and money. It takes years. So when you have those realities, extensions sort of bypass that. And you don't have to wait on that core team to bring in functionality to the desktop. So I think they have merit. And ironically, I'm sure just totally coincidentally, really, there was a post on how the Plasma project does their extensions.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it was.
Oh.
You'd be surprised to learn it may be technically superior. Yeah, surprise, surprise. Spoiler alert. And anyways, this conversation goes on, and I say, let's all just wait and see. Don't worry. And these developers are also users of the desktop. They're not going to break their own desktop. So we'll see where this goes. I actually am really happy to see them asking some of these hard questions. I cover it more on Coder Radio this week. Not safe for work, in not safe for work way, just as a warning to you if you want to go listen to it. And I think this is a technical debt that GNOME has needed to pay off for a long time. And now they're looking at that bill and going, okay, right, so how are we actually going to pay for this? What solution do we want to implement? What pain are we willing to endure? And that's the conversation that's beginning, and it's a necessary one. So I'm all for it. I think that's where this is leading. It just starts at a place where it may startle you a little bit. It may be a bit jarring.
Right. And as always, we see the parts that bubble up into the surface of drama, and work continues all the while.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah. Speaking of work continuing, so Mr. Cassidy joins us. He's here as now a full-time employee of Elementary OS. Normally, I would say Cassidy James is here from System 76, and he works over at Elementary OS. But now I say, formerly of System 76, now joining us on the show, is Mr. Cassidy James of Elementary OS.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, congratulations. So I grok that the project was the benefactor of a recent contribution, and you guys must have looked at the numbers and said, hey, I think I can make that work full time. Is that essentially what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's multiple things that came together kind of all at once. We've had great success with OS purchases from the website, app purchases from App Center, and other avenues like Patreon and Bounty Source. And then on top of that, we had a really generous person from the community, from the elementary community, who liked what we were doing and reached out and said, hey, I'd like to help you guys out. What can I do? And we worked with them and just figured out that bringing another person on full time was the right thing at the right time, and that's me.
Well, wow.
Congratulations.
Huge.
Thank you.
It's super exciting. And I think you guys, one of the reasons I love it is, first of all, both you and Daniel, obviously super committed to the project here. And you have a good product. I have my son on it still, and it's just a solid product. It's a good product. And I think what you guys have needed is more execute power. Let me tell you, somebody who's in that same exact position, I think that's what you've needed. And bringing you on gives the project more power to execute on certain things. So it sounds like some of those things, because you call them out in your blog, is spending time with app developers and other parties to keep Elementary OS financially sustainable. So that that sort of came across to me as a bit vague. Essentially, what I read from that is you're going to do a little developer advocacy, try to maybe reach out to a few developers and convince them to bring their application over to Elementary. Am I interpreting that right?
Yeah. So there's really 3 areas of focus I've had over the past few years, and looking to continue focusing on those areas. It's the writing and communicating with people. So we do monthly App Center spotlights on our Medium.
Yeah.
Monthly progress reports of development. We do developer tips articles, things like that. So writing. I love to write, and Dan and I both kind of tag team on the Medium site quite a bit. So that's one way of outreaching to developers. Then there's also the more direct interaction with developers. That's helping people bring their apps to App Center, focusing on the developer experience of App Center dashboard itself. Those areas are really interesting, and I haven't had as much time to focus on them, and so it's great to be full-time now, being able to focus on that. And then the third thing, which is I've always been doing with Elementary, is design guidance and input, obviously. Working on human interface guidelines, sketches. Something I've started doing more recently is organization-wide projects to improve the overall experience. So it's kind of a scattershot, and it's kind of all over, but that's kind of what's exciting about it, is that I'm pretty deeply involved in different parts of Elementary, and now being able to focus full-time on that, I think, means a lot more meaningful results from that.
Yeah, and you may find you start digging in on something, and you get a lot of traction there, and that's something you'll have flexibility to dedicate time to now. Whereas before it would have been like, well, how the hell am I ever going to be able to pull that off?
Exactly.
Now, there's one in there that we haven't really talked about, and I bet you're not going to tell me much, but I just got to ask, dedicate time to working with OEMs with an S.
What?
What's that about?
So this is something, I've been doing on the side. There's several OEMs out there who ship elementary OS as an option. I think, what is it? Tuxedo Computers. There's one called Obsidian. There's Slimbook that you can order elementary OS on. And I've been talking with them, obviously, because we're really interested in getting their feedback as an OEM. That's a really unique perspective where you're directly interacting with customers, paying customers of hardware who are paying, $1,000 or however much for a computer. So I haven't had time personally to dedicate to that in the past, but being able to actually interact with them and talk to them about it would be, a great thing, I think, for everybody, for people who want to purchase a computer with elementary preloaded.
Right. I hope to see that expand. That'd be really cool. All right, so let's get Dan in here for a second. So Dan, I mean, obviously you and Cassidy are friends, but there must have been other people you could hire. So what made you think Cassidy was the right one with some limited resources? You got time, you got some flexibility now. All of a sudden, this guy comes in and he says, "Hey, if I could help out somehow." Was it specifically but you have to hire Cassidy, or was it your thought, no, you know what, this is the way to go. This is the right call.
So we've had a lot of internal discussions, right, about what kind of skill set should our next hire have. And there's been a lot of talk about, well, they need to be a developer, or, well, maybe we need somebody who's good at marketing, or, well, maybe we need another designer because our design team has so many things that we just don't have time to get to, and our developers are making it up, and we're stacking technical debt, right?
Yeah.
And so there's all these conversations about who should our next hire be and what should they be good at. And kind of the beautiful thing about hiring Cass is he'll never admit it, but he's great at everything. Cass is an amazing UX designer. Cass actually is a developer, and he's published a couple apps in App Center. You see all of his blog posts on our blog. He helps me manage all of our social media accounts. He's really good at putting people together. He has all this great insider knowledge of how a hardware company works. Like he's kind of this amalgam of knowledge of like everything that it's a really, really great opportunity to be able to hire him on, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. And the man grows a good beard too, which
never hurts.
That doesn't hurt.
Plus 10 hireability right there.
Yeah, it is. So, Cassie, are you going to stay in the Colorado area, or what are your plans long term? Are you gonna move out to the coast, or are you gonna stay put?
Well, I'm pretty rooted here in Denver, Colorado. I love it here. My family vacationed here growing up, like almost every year. So I really love it here. So I'm planning on staying here. My wife has a job out here as well. So we're pretty rooted here. I know Dan has been lightweight looking at apartments and things in the Denver area, so that might be an interesting at some point. We'll have to see.
That's not a bad idea, Dan. Although right now you're kind of on my route for certain places I go, so we could hang out from time to time. I'd be a little disappointed, but I could make a trip to Denver, I suppose. Then I get to hang out with both of you guys. So.
And then you can hang out with System 76 too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now it's a party.
I would definitely be a party. I'll bring the fish. It'd be a good time. All right, guys. Well, congrats to both of you. I think it's going to be really good for the project. Looking forward to the new release, too. I mean, think about it. The future releases with both of you there working on that kind of stuff. And I hope you find a path to sustainability so that way this position remains. It's something you can keep doing, Cassidy, because I think that'd be really great, too, obviously, for not just you, but for the project as well. So everybody go, when the new release comes out, put a little dollar amount in there for Cassidy and for Daniel for the whole project, because
keep this gravy train coming.
Yeah, well, at least keep food on their plates, I suppose. Speaking of keeping foods on plates, why don't we do a little food keeping here for the program? do.co/unplugged. You can go there, get a $100 credit for the DigitalOcean platform. Infrastructure on demand in less than 55 seconds. You can build and deploy a lot in 60 days with a $100 credit. So go to do.co/unplugged. I'm trying to come up with a new way to describe DigitalOcean. Do you have anything that comes to mind? Because I can say it's like super crazy fast, all SSD based infrastructure that you can spin up on demand.
That is accurate, yeah.
But I feel like I need something new.
Some spice.
Yeah, something to change it up. You know what I mean? Like something that has a beat, something that's exciting, something that's fresher than me. Because I feel like we could use a little freshness. I don't know. I'll tell you what, I'll just mix a little something live.
You got a little secret sauce for it?
You just play backup, okay? You do my backups.
DigitalOcean's cloud computing platform was designed with simplicity in mind, giving development teams the ability to easily manage infrastructure. That's why thousands of businesses around the world are building, deploying, and scaling their applications faster and more efficiently on DigitalOcean. Using our simple control panel or API, you and your team can seamlessly go from deploying to scaling highly available web, mobile, PaaS, DaaS, or machine learning applications. In just a matter of seconds, quickly set up one to thousands of virtual machines, easily secure servers and enable performance monitoring, and effortlessly attach more storage. Plus, you'll always know exactly what you'll be paying every month with a predictable flat pricing structure across all global data center regions. By using DigitalOcean, you'll get the infrastructure experience that development teams love with the features your business needs. Sign up for DigitalOcean today and experience simplicity at scale.
Man, you nailed that, Wes. Good job, dude.
I know what I'm doing.
So also, just to give you a mention, they have a new guide up they posted a couple days ago about using a CDN to speed up static content delivery. And when you look at the pricing of DigitalOcean and you look at the ways you could utilize DigitalOcean and the benefits of using a CDN, it's a no-brainer way to use DigitalOcean, especially if you go to do.co/unplugged to get that $100 credit.
You say $100?
$100
What?
credit.
What?
I say 100 sometimes. I know.
Whoa.
You know what else is fantastic is those great folks. So great, I had to move my microphone arm in there. Did you catch that? I want to give you a little studio ambiance. It's Linux Academy. Those people are Linux Academy. They are hard-working folk. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. I just got a little sneak peek at something that's coming down the pipe.
Sneakily.
It's so cool. I might reach out to them and try to set up an interview here in the near future to have them do a little overview of one of these things they're working on. I just so desperately want to say what it is, but I don't think I'm allowed to because it's in development. You know how they feel about that stuff, but they're always working on stuff. It's a platform to learn about Linux. Anything that Linux runs on or that you can run Linux with or on top
That's
of
a
or
big
inside
list.
of. I mean,
That's a giant list.
Turns out it's most of Microsoft stuff these days. Yeah, and they got courseware on that as well as AWS and OpenStack and, of course, the Linux Essentials and the Google Cloud Platform and Docker and trying to wrap your head around big data or just basic DevOps concepts, really. And now, really, some great courseware for reals. Really. I like saying really. On security. So go check it out, linuxacademy.com/unplugged. It's pretty great, and they're always working on new stuff. They're always building new content. They're always adding new features. You get a lot out of your subscription. So linuxacademy.com/unplugged. You can sign up for a free 7-day trial, even if life's busy. They got a course scheduler that'll work with your busy day and days and days and days. I understand, but they'll work with you on that.
That's like the hardest part when you're like, okay, I want to learn something. Oh, now got to go find the resources to learn. No, it's just right there. It pops up. You log in. You keep reading.
There's also something that just makes it real when you just see this concept is going to take me 2 hours to master. And then I go, oh, okay, 2 hours?
I can do that.
Yeah, I can do that. And then you can get study tools and you can get lesson audio and they got video and interactive diagrams and all of that stuff. So it's a great platform and it gets you ready for the big certs. It's got instructor mentoring, human beings that help you if you need help. Yeah, it's great.
Human beings.
You're real humans.
I would never have thought.
I know. Powered by Linux. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. Speaking of powered by Linux, Ting. Yeah, the Ting infrastructure runs on Linux. Linux.ting.com. Linux.ting.com. That's where you go to save $25 off a device if you want to buy one from Ting, and I'll tell you more about that here in a second because they got a good one. Or if you bring one, they got CDMA and GSM, you get $25 in service credit. Pay for what you use wireless is Ting's secret sauce. It's a fair price for however much you talk, text, and data you use. And there's no contracts, no early termination fees, no quote-unquote agreements, and you can manage the entire thing, turn stuff on and off, individual services even, like text messages on or off, right from their control panel. It's super, super easy. You can set usage alerts. They have fantastic customer service. But I wanted to tell you about a great deal right now. If you just want to get a nice, clean, performant Android phone that's going to get updates for a little while, friends, I'd like you to consider the Motorola G6 Play. I've talked about the Moto series before. They're the ones where I legitimately don't mind the skin. Like, it's so minimal. If you
it's not getting in your way.
You don't feel like spending $800 on a smartphone,
which don't.
But you'd like to have something that's no contract that you're not paying for monthly.
I do.
Yeah, Linux.ting.com. Then you go to their store page. You can get the Moto G6 Play for $174. You own it, and then you just pay for your usage. That's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no contract. It's multi-network too, so if GSM's better in your area or CDMA, you can utilize that. It's really, really nice. It's got fingerprint scanner. It's got a bunch of nice features built in, like an SD card reader, 13 megapixel rear camera, 4,000 milliamp battery. They say you can get 36 hours on a single charge with that sucker. And it's got a Snapdragon quad-core processor in it. It's a great phone, and you can own the whole dang thing for $174. That's not bad. That is not bad. And you can go up to 128 gigs with micro SD.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think it comes with 32 gigs built in, but you can go up to 128.
If you can get off that gotta have the latest and greatest sort of ride, then
yeah.
this is a secret weapon to saving some money.
It really is nice. 5.7 IPS screen. It's a 1440 by 720, which is not bad for a 5.7 when you're not trying to kill battery life all day.
You know, if this podcasting thing doesn't work out, you could be just phone salesman. I think you've got it.
I really like these phones. Like, when you find the right phone, it's like, I don't know, something about it. It's like, this is, because everybody's always buying like the iPhone or the Samsungs or the Pixel.
Easy choices.
And it's like, oh, cool. So you spent $1,000 on a phone. But if you didn't need X, Y, whatever that one thing is, you could get these Motos, and they're just great phones. $174. Linux.ting.com. All right, I've said my piece. I just think that's a great phone and a great service. I get excited, Wes. I can't help it. I love gadgets. Not as much as I love Linux and free software. So I don't
mix those two together.
I have not bought an Android device since the Nexus 6P. It's been a while.
Ooh.
It may change, after a while. The OnePlus is starting to look better and better.
It is.
But I gotta save my pennies right now because I think this week's news has sealed the deal for me on buying a ThinkPad. As you guys know, I've been on the fence for weeks. We had Barton on last week, and we were talking about the XPSs. Plus, my XPS has been one of the best computers I've ever owned. It's still my daily driver for so many things. I prepped today's show on my XPS 13. I took it, down to Texas. Like, just a solid system. And one of the things I love about my XPS 13 is I get firmware updates through GNOME software, and Plasma Project has announced that they're bringing that same functionality to Discover, so you'll be able to get firmware updates on the Plasma desktop. And I know it's silly, but that's something that really matters to me. It makes it feel like a complete consumer product in a way that just hasn't really been there on Linux before. I just love LVFS. I love that my XPS 13 got firmware updates that way.
You mean saying that I don't have to boot into DOS to update my firmware anymore is somehow good for Linux? I don't get it.
Or the modern version of that really is, you have to keep your Windows partition on. That sucks. And so it is such a cincher for me now that Lenovo has joined the LVFS project. And the laptop I've been looking at, the T480, is on the supported list of hardware. And I got a couple of notes, emails with screenshots from listeners like, hey, I just got this on my ThinkPad like 2 days before this went public.
Oh, it just shows up.
Yeah, I guess the timing went that the images started showing up in the stable repos while Richard was on vacation, so he couldn't get back to write the blog post in time. But he writes, bringing Lenovo to LVFS has been a lot of work. It needed changes to the low-level FW update library, which is FWUpd, and even LVFS admin portal itself for various vendor-defined reasons.
I love that term.
Mm-hmm. In other words, they had particulars they wanted taken care of. He says, we've been working in semi-secret for a long time, and I'm sure it's been frustrating to all involved not being able to speak openly about the grand plan. But I do think Lenovo should be applauded for their work done so far due to the enormity of the task, rather than chastised about being to the party a little late. Then he writes, if anyone from HP is reading this, you're now officially late.
Amen. That's great.
This is censure for that T480. But there's only one person here who I believe has authority to speak on the topic, and that would be Popey, because he owns 35. Hello, Popey. Did you have any hint this was coming? And when you saw the news, how excited were you?
I was very excited. It's always good to see more hardware appearing in the LVFS.
Do you think this is indicative of other things that may be in the works at Lenovo?
No, I don't know. I know it's something that Richard has been working on for a long time. We had him in the office recently when we had a GNOME software design sprint. He came in for a day and we chatted over some stuff, and he was telling us a little bit about the amount of work that goes on to get companies on board with LVFS, and it's certainly a labour of love for him. So it's really good to see he succeeded with Lenovo.
Boy, do we appreciate it.
Amazing.
It makes a difference for so many users in such a big way. It's such an appreciated.
Yeah, not having to boot into Windows or create some shonky boot disk and get your firmware that way. Like pressing a button, reboot,
and it's cross distro. You know.
Yeah. Yeah,
which is also so great for somebody like me who seems to not be able to last more than a year on a distro anymore, which is for actually a lot better.
Just
than it used
accept it now. There's nothing wrong with it.
I am really elated by this news. What do you think of my choice, Popey, on the T480? You think that's a solid choice for like a travel
It's
laptop?
an excellent choice, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, that's all I need.
Boom, validation.
Yeah. Okay. I feel good. That's like
with the Popey approved little stamp.
That's
out.
like when I discovered that Jeremy Clarkson bought a VW Golf. I'm like, oh, that kind of validates my new interest. That's how I feel Popey is with the ThinkPads. He's like my Jeremy Clarkson for ThinkPads.
He has earned it.
Oh my God, please no.
I thought you'd like that. All right, well, moving on, just a few other things. Eric, the IT guy, is in the Mumble Room today, and you may recall that name because not only does he chime in from time to time, but he chatted with me a few weeks back about Jupiter Broadcasting's efforts around setting up PeerTube. And he is back with many encoding jobs later to give us kind of an update on where things are at and some other things that are in the works. So, Eric, thanks once again for all your work on the PeerTube stuff. And where do you think we should start with the update?
Yeah, well, I try and chime in whenever my son's not playing with my mixer.
Yeah, that is always fun when he reaches for the EQ. So just, what I do is I just swat at them. I find that works. You just swat at them. They seem to learn. No, I'm kidding. Wes is looking at me like, I think you're joking. But he's like, no one, Chris, I'm not sure.
Well, it helps that Dylan's a natural broadcaster, so you don't need to worry about him.
He's quick. He dodges. That's what. Yeah. All right. So what do you think, Eric? Where do we start with the PeerTube? Is there any significant new developments? I know there's been some back-end changes. We've had a whole bunch of encoding jobs going.
Kind of the 30,000 foot view. We've rebuilt PeerTube about 3 times on 3 different setups and operating systems, and we've settled on Ubuntu and we've got a nice big VM thanks to some of the guys in the community. They've donated a huge VM with I think 16 cores. If you're on the Mastodon server, you've seen that about every couple of hours a new video is being posted as I'm going through 10 plus years of Jupiter Broadcasting backlog. We're in the next few days transcoding jobs should finish for BSD now. I don't know if anybody watches that, but it's there.
Whoa! Nice!
I kid. I love you guys.
That was solid, dude. Well done. Nicely delivered.
So I think Ask Noah's up there. BSD Now is almost done. Several of the other shows are done, and then the rest are on their way.
Yeah.
So once the active shows have all been had their backlogs ported over, then I want to try and start on some of the shows that aren't active anymore. So we've got the entire catalog there at some point.
Yeah, and this started as hey, YouTube is pulling down our stuff sometimes, or man, wouldn't it be great to just help lend some attention towards a project that is helping replace YouTube, because we've talked about the issues of that, especially for free software coverage. And so that's really, I think, where Eric and I started with this. But then we started going, wouldn't it be really great if you could go to one place and have the entire archive available, at least as far as we have it in video? And so I can't imagine the amount of CPU heat that work must be creating, Eric. So how long does that take? Is that a manual process? Are you SCPing MP4 files around, or how are you doing that part?
So what's fun is it's a 2-step process right now. So for the backlog, PeerTube is using YouTube DL.
Oh,
and it's got a scripted job that I run and just point to. There's the Jupiter feed webpage that I just point the YouTube DL script towards, and so it'll pull in the backlog. But then manually, once I catch the tweet that a new show's been published, I go up, pull down the current. So when this episode gets published, I'll go down and pull that down with wget and then SCP it up to the server and manually or actually manually add it in through the web UI. And there's been some people notice that when I do that, there's a disclaimer that the video hasn't been transcoded yet, so quality's not so great. We've actually as a community been submitting pull requests for new features, and one of the new features that we have requested is the ability to basically set importance. So I want the server to be busy all the time. So if you don't have anything that's been published in the last week, chew on the backlog. But as soon as one of the new shows gets published, I want you to drop everything else you're working on and go and transcode this.
That's a great idea.
I need to double check on it, but they just sent out an email, PeerTube did, earlier this afternoon stating that version 1.0 beta 3 was just released. So we should be expecting a full version here within the next couple of weeks, with a lot of really nice features and bug fixes, and they're changing up some of the things on the back end. I mean, this project has exploded. I don't think they had a clue just how popular this was going to be.
Well, yeah, I was just looking at their active instance site, which I'll have linked in the show notes. You can see the other PeerTube instances out there, and there's a whole bunch of them taken off. A lot of 1.0 versions, so it's good to see that they're still like chugging away, because I know that they've been super busy with their fundraiser stuff. Well, so what's the site people go to kind of see some of the hard work you've been doing? What's the URL?
So the official URL is getjupiter.com, and that's a restricted instance that is official Jupiter Broadcasting content only. But if you jump over to peertube.linuxrocks.online, it's tied into the Linux Rocks Mastodon instance, and that is where community members can submit videos, things they've seen, things they've produced. I know there's a couple of us like myself who are getting our feet wet with podcasts that have uploaded a few videos just so we've got somewhere to publish it and say, hey, go check out this video and tell me what you think.
And did we end up implementing the chapters, or not the chapters, but channels? So like if you want to just see all of Linux Unplugged, you can just go to that channel. How does that work? Because like if you go there now, it's all BS now all the time, and like you said, what is that? So is there a facility for that on PeerTube?
They're still fleshing out some of the functionality around channels, but if you go to getjupiter.com and you register for an account, I know, another account, I'm sorry, but that's how it works. If you register a new account, you can actually subscribe to individual channels. So if you want to get that Noah guy, you can just go and subscribe to Ask Noah, and
that's the only thing
those.
That's the only thing people listen to around here. So okay. Well, Eric, thank you very much. We should probably keep moving because we want to also talk about Android P and get to some picks. But I really do appreciate that work. So getjupiter.com is where people will see it. And I think it's good timing, because I think it's going to play into our overall plan to sort of get our back catalog in shape one day.
Well, and one last quick note, that effort for PeerTube has actually led to another project that we've been working on, a couple of us, where Jupiter Broadcasting now has an official GitLab instance that we're managing.
Yeah.
So at some point we're going to move all the PeerTube scripts, perhaps the code for JBots, the caster soundboard, things like that. We're going to be hosting on Jupiter Broadcasting hosted instances.
It's a cool URL. It's the great GitHub Exodus. We're just a little late to the party. We're a little late to the Exodus party. But yeah, we're setting it all up. We'll have our own official site. So if you hear us talking about, which I have a suspicion there will be more projects added to that list in the near future. Well, maybe not in the near future, but in the distant future. It'll just be one resource you go to. So if it's the soundboard, if it's the
That's so easy.
Yeah, the bot, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's all stuff. Eric's been helping us with set up the back end stuff, and it's kind of bringing together several initiatives, which is great. So, all right. Well, check out more of that, and I'll have links to what Eric's talking about in the show notes. Keep up the good work, Eric, and everybody else helping Eric. And let's talk about Android P for a moment. It was released this week, and I don't have a lot to really cover on it, other than I noticed a few things that stand out. Other than your typical new features like adaptive battery and adaptive brightness.
So adaptive.
There's a big vibe of monitoring you in this thing. So like app actions, which will predict what you want to do next based on your other activity, or application slices, which try to figure out what you're searching for and show you content from an app. And there's also this new dashboard that helps you understand how you're spending your time on your device, and the app timer that lets you set limits on apps and grays out the icon on your home screen when you've used it too much. Too much Twitter for you, Wes.
Yeah, I know. Oh, God, I'm so embarrassed.
And then there's other nice features like Do Not Disturb, which silence visual interruptions. And then there's the wind down mode, which turns on a night light and then turns on Do Not Disturb and then fades the screen to grayscale. I'm willing to try that out. We'll see. But the digital well-billing, it's hard for me to say.
Yeah.
But the digital well-being stuff is a little scary to me. And I don't know if it's just me being RMS or if this isn't just the mecca of metrics for Google to collect here. Like, imagine now all of the things they can add to the profile that's already enormous that they have about you, about how, all of these things about how you, because in order to monitor all of this stuff, they've had to build in hooks to watch. And then they have to be collecting this information and storing it in a dashboard. It seems like it would just be almost negligent for them not to also eventually have a copy of that information, even if in this first release they don't.
I mean, right, yeah. You just want more data. That's kind of the rule.
And it's all being sold to us under the premise of digital well-being.
Well, I mean, you can't. How are you going to do all your machine learning if you don't have all the data, Chris?
Yeah, that's true. You got to have all the data. Yeah. Bobby, have you flashed all of your Android devices with Android P? Are you running it on everything now and got the friend?
Lol. No, because I as is always the case, I am bottom of the pile because I've got a OnePlus 3T. So I seriously doubt that I'll get in Android P anytime soon.
Yeah, I joke though, but it is kind of a serious thing. It's like now we wait. Now we wait for the code dump, and then we wait for all the other leg of the projects that are based off that code dump to actually catch up.
It is not quite. I mean, it is far better than the alternative in many ways, but it is not quite the glorious free open source ecosystem that perhaps we once naively thought long ago.
So Cassidy, you've been giving it a go though, quite seriously. I'd be curious to know about your first impressions, including maybe some of the new nav stuff if you had a chance to give it a go. Are you there, Cassidy? Cassidy.
Yeah, I flashed it on my. I got the update over the air yesterday, and I've actually really been enjoying it. The new navigation is optional and off by default on existing hardware, but I guess it's going to be the default on new hardware from Google at least in the future. But I turned it on. I really enjoy it. I actually really enjoy the digital well-being stuff, and I think I have a different perspective on this maybe because we do something similar and we've done it for a long time, just really not as well fleshed out, I guess, in elementary OS, and that's the tool called Zeitgeist, which is something that on your device it tracks what you open, what files you access, what applications you use. You keep all of that information on device, but then that can power some really interesting things in the OS. And we've been talking actually how we could expand our privacy settings to be more like this digital well-being, where the user's in control of what apps they themselves can open when. And we have something called parental controls right now, and we've been talking about maybe rebranding that as something like digital well-being, because I think it's a really interesting topic of like setting restrictions for yourself for what how you use your device. Like, devices these days are made to be so addicting that I think it can be important to impose limits on yourself as long as you doing it and it stays on device locally.
Yeah, I really have no problem with people setting their own limits on themselves if they have control over those limits.
It seems like it kind of speaks a little bit about trust. Like when you, the idea as you describe it, coming from you, it sounds very interesting, but I think maybe some of this is just...
It's concern. I don't know if it's actually even an issue. It to me is just... It's just, when I hear it, I can't help but wonder it a little bit. And then there's this voice in the back of my head that always goes, well, RMS was usually right about this stuff. It could be nothing, right? It could be nothing. And I think, too, if you have a hard time with controlling how much you use these devices, building something in is probably good. And I think the intention here from the companies is a good one, I think. So, So Android P. coming to a phone near you in 2021. So you can go read about it with the link in our show notes. It does look like a nice refresh. If I had a phone it would run on, I'd give it a go.
There's some good security improvements baked in as well,
Yeah.
and runtime stuff.
In fact, the one that I noticed, I think you called out in our chat, was that it is now using TLS by default and DNS over TLS. That's nice.
More encryption.
Yeah. Yeah, I do not mean to besmirch the good name of Android Pie, because, as everyone knows, we love pie.
Right? It's just complicated.
It's yeah, it is. It's a complicated relationship. So let's make things easy for a little bit with a Snap. There is a new app that I found this week in the Snap store, I guess, and it's called Transitions DJ. And it is to me, I guess, I don't mean to say it badly. I don't mean to like talk it down, but it's like a light version of Mix, M-I-X-X.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's a cool little app, and it's used for mixing music. It's great for live production or just making a mix that you like. It has crossfading, tempo adjustment, looping, cue points, tempo synchronization, and it also has a online database it can pull down of song structures that you can use to get the beats and the bars and the beats and the bars and the phrases to help you mix it up. And it's a Snap to install. It's really, it's actually quite literally a Snap. You just do Snap install Transitions DJ,
and then you'll be the star of the party.
Yeah, so that looks pretty cool.
That is neat.
Yeah, got a summer party. And then there's a tool that I didn't know anything about, but I knew it was something the Intercept was working on. That's the outfit that Glenn Greenwald works for, and others. And their parent company, First Look Media, has been investing in a tool to help them manage PGP encrypted emails. But not the emails so much themselves, but the keys. From the beginning of First Look Media, they've been using PGP or GPG encryption for all of their emails. And they've tried to make it as simple as possible by creating a new open source tool called GPG Sync. They've developed it in order to offload the most complex part of encrypted email, the key management part of encrypted email. And they take it out really away from the users, the fiddling from the users, and they kind of move it into the IT staff realm. So this is sort of a pick for those of you in IT that might want to solve this for your end users. So here's how it works. GPG Sync is designed to make it so everyone within your organization always has the correct public keys for everyone else in your organization without even having to think about it.
I want that. I want that right now.
Yeah, I was thinking like, when I heard this, like, we could use this here. That'd be kind of cool. We could all talk. You could all be talking encrypted, although we just don't really. When's the last time you've emailed me or I emailed you? Ever?
Very rarely.
Probably once.
Maybe once. Yeah, I think about twice once.
That's very odd. Yeah. So the tech staff generates a PGP key called the authority key. And they also recommend you use YubiKey with this. They create a list of all the PGP fingerprints that all members of the organizations should keep updated, called a key list. They digitally sign the key list with the authority key, and then they upload both the key list and the signature to a website that is accessible from a public URL. All members of the organizations then install GPG Sync and subscribe to that key list. You can also subscribe to as many key lists as you'd like. So if you had multiple projects or companies you were working with, they could all have their own key list, and you could subscribe to them. You could stay up to date on all of them for multiple organizations. When someone joins your organization, the tech staff helps them generate the PGP key, adds their fingerprint to the key list, and re-signs it with the authority key. And then they upload it to the same URL. If a user migrates to a new key, the tech staff adds their new fingerprint to the key list and also leaves their old one on the list as well. And now each member of your organization doesn't have to track down everyone else's public keys and make sure they're authentic. You don't even have to hold regular key signing parties, though you probably could. The users don't actually have to do anything. They just write encrypted emails to their colleagues, and it just works.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, so you're just delegating trust to IT, which you do for so many other things anyway in an organization like that, and just a nice way to keep it all in sync.
And you in a Windows organization, you are. The domain admins have access to all that stuff. They get master keys. So, yeah, there you go. There you go. It's called GPG Sync, and version 0.20 came out this week. So congratulations to First Look Media for putting that together. So there's a couple of app picks for you. How about that? Boom, boom, boom. A couple of app picks right there. Pow, pow, pow. And you can find all of those at linuxunplugged.com/261. Wow, how about that? 261, Wes.
Good job.
Holy smokes, holy smokes. Well, that just about brings us to the end of this week's broadcast. If you want to get more Wes Payne, go check out what? TechSnap?
Yeah, TechSnap.systems.
Nice. If you want a little more Popey, he was just recently on Late Night Linux in their most recent episode. Did a fine job there. And also that excellent Ubuntu podcast. So you always can check out more Popey at there as well, ubuntupodcast.org. And you can find Cassidy and Dan. It will have links to their social profiles and their websites in our show notes. So you can get their stuff there. And Brent, is there anything you want to mention before we get out of here this week? Anywhere you want to send folks?
Yeah, I think sending people to at Brent Drew on Twitter is a good place. Just come and say hi if you don't have anything better to say, but I'd love to say hi.
Check that. All right. Very good, sir. All right. One of these days, we got to get another barbecue planned.
We need it.
Yeah.
The smoked meats.
We do need it. Hey, I encourage you to follow me on Twitter, too. Why not? We're all doing it at Chris LAS. The network is at Jupiter Signal. And if you join us live on Tuesdays, you get a nice Linux rounded meal because the pre-show starts around 1:30 Pacific time. And then the show starts around 2 p.m.-ish. And we tend to go till about 3:30-ish, whatever that might be. And then we hang out till that Noah Chalai guy shows up. And then we do a little handoff to him, and the Ask Noah program fires up.
It's a beautiful, beautiful afternoon of Linux.
Now, a lot of people say, but Chris, I got to work. And to that I say, no, you don't.
Just put this on in the background.
And you say, they come to you and say, why aren't you working? You say, boss, this is my extended training. Don't you want me to be better at my job? And if they say no to that, then you're working at the wrong place. All right, thanks so much for tuning this week's episode of the Unplugged program. I hope you enjoyed everything. Don't forget, links are on the Linux Unplugged website. Our live stream is at jblive.tv. You can also get it on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. Thanks so much for being here. See you back here next Tuesday.
Get it out of here.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
We're bringing it now for a landing.
Soft, gentle JB landing.
Yeah. Keep your seats buckled and drink if you still got it, because I'll probably smack into the ground a little hard. I tend to do that. Well, thank you, everybody, for making it to the show today. What are we going to do for 300? I know it's a ways off, but if we start talking about it now, you know what I'm saying?
Then we have time to execute something great.
I'm putting that out there. What are we going to do for 300? All right, jbtitles.com.
Yeah, what are we going to do for titles right the heck
Let's
now?
go, Boat. Thank you, Mumble Room. You guys were great.
A rowdy, right as Mumble Room.
Anybody cooking like we are? It's, what do you say, probably 83 in here, 84 in here right now, maybe? It's probably not.
It's been over where I'm living. It's raining right now.
Oh, don't tease us.
Actually, it's been cyclically hot and raining for the past couple of days.
That's
It's extremely hot, and then it gets thunderstormy. I'm just shocked that there hasn't been a declaration that our drought has been ended. It's not like a California drought, but it's our lake. I'm not even sure about our lake levels at the moment.
My entire state is on fire.
That is
literally.
Whoopsie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we need here in Europe to rain. Rain would be really good.
Yeah, it's hot as balls.
I cannot turn off my air conditioning.
I appreciate that everybody's suffering with us.
Right.
Man. That's nice. That's good.
That's why we do that, to distract us all.
I'm not suffering right now, and yet I still have my glass of wine, and now it's pretty decent because we have after midnight here, so it's pretty cool now. It's good.
I bet. Well, that's when you're on vacation in the Mumble Room, that's real dedication right there. I gotta say,
you're the best.
I'm your servant.
All right, well, now let's pick a title then. And then I think we've checked all of our boxes. I liked there was something Gnome Gnome on the Range. That was one that went by at one point.
Yep. Technova.
Yeah, we got to get the book going. It's a long one.
We need your help to sort this out. We can't pick from a series of ones.
I resisted the urge to ask when the release is going to be, Dan and Cassie. I didn't.
I saw you squirming. It was on your mind.
I just wanted to say, I believe Dan's birthday came and went, and that was the deadline as far as I was concerned. So
when it's ready, as always.
Yeah, just
damn it.
Thanks to just when it's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be it. That birthday was going to be it. I thought that'd be the announcement. But it's ready when it's ready. Elementary growth. Shell me the money. Shell me the money. That's cute.
It is cute.
The mutter of
Hey,
style.
how come there are no West suggestions in here? Wes, where are you?
I know, right? Yeah, I was taking a day off today.
You could probably turn the AC on.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's probably safe to do. You know, when we moved this whole unplugged thing to Tuesdays, one of the ideas was, or I mean, not the unplugged. It's always been on Tuesday. When we moved the Ask Noah program to Tuesdays, the idea would be is for the last few minutes of the show, he'd stop by the Mumble Room.
We could sync him up.
Yeah. I think that's happened once.
It's like 3 times, I think.
I mean, he'll probably make it into the Mumble Room now, but I mean, while we're still recording. I don't think I think it's only happened maybe once.
You're right.
I don't know. It's fine. It's fine.
We just miss Noah.
It doesn't really work anyways, because it's not like you just keep listening to the podcast and it starts the Ask Noah show. Like, if you were watching traditional TV or listening to traditional radio,
yes,
that makes a little more sense anyways. It doesn't really make as much sense in a podcast. So. All right, we got to pick our title. Visual Fragmentation by JJ. I see that in the mix. That's not bad. But we need more people to go both. We got a large spread along the top chunk.
Focus, people. Focus.
It's not good. It's not good, you guys. This is not good. This is really not good. Gnome on the range only has 1 boat, so I'm going to give it a sympathy boat. Sympathy boat? Sympathy?
So I don't know if you noticed, Chris, but it doesn't look like that GPG sync has a Linux client, right?
Oh, you're fucking kidding me.
Yeah. Windows, Mac, at least for the binary download.
Oh, it's funny because I found it on a Linux news site, so I didn't even check to see if it was.
It might just work on Linux. I just hadn't. They mentioned rebasing it on Windows. Maybe it can run in the background. Oh, okay.
Quick, someone implement it.
Yep. No. There's some. You can build it from source.
That's so lame. Should I cut it? Do you think? Or
you can build it from source.
Nobody's gonna do that though. Somebody needs to snap that up. That's
Popey, snap it.
Snap what?
GPG sync is only available for Linux's source. It's only.
Sorry, what?
This GPG sync thing that I just talked about in the show, it's only available for Linux's source, and now I'm worried nobody's gonna use it.
A link to the repo.
All right, do you have that? Where's that?
Yeah, I got this.
I feel like we should cut it, but I don't know. You know, because like if nobody can really. Like when it's a snap.
It does look pretty easy to build, but you're right. Like that is a significant.
Does it?
I mean, they got like a little build script for you, so you install dependencies.
I suppose
and
if you're going to be
build.
implementing this for your IT organization, you could probably build it. I suppose that's not a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it. I think the little script makes a deb file.
So I don't like talking crap in the show, so I didn't bring up Thunderbird this week. I read everything about the new Thunderbird 60, and did you see any of the screenshots of the dark thing?
No.
Oh my god. I think maybe I was being trolled, so I don't know. Somebody should double check it. If somebody could find a screenshot of Thunderbird 60's dark mode. Because what it looked more like was high contrast mode to me, so it might have been a joke. But I'm just a little concerned.
Last time I tried running Thunderbird, my CPU shot through the roof.
I'm having problems with Mailspring on high DPI. The UI, I can't maximize the window because the UI stops rendering NPCs.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I don't really like using Thunderbird, so Mailspring's kind of the best option. Plus, the nice thing about Mailspring is it makes it super easy to use like 5 or 6 accounts. So I've got like a bunch of the show accounts in there and stuff. But it's kind of really letting me down. And it's really slow. And it's an Electron app, so it really makes my XBS crank. So I was kind of hoping Thunderbird would pull its head out of its ass. But,
I cannot find a picture of dark.
In a comment thread, so it may have been a troll.
Okay.
Did our audio just change? Did we just
what happened?
to the chat room? It would be fine to mumble. But I wonder if in the chat room if we just went Barry White. Hello, chat room.
Hey, for some reason GP Titles is not working.
It just gets overloaded. The bot eats up all the RAM, so its site's probably just
on the way out.
Yeah, it's the bot's probably eating up all the RAM on the droplet. It may it may I was gonna say it may pop in a second, but it probably just means the bot's about to fall over. Common occurrence.
Wait, did you guys talk about Pi at all? Because I think
yeah, we talked about Android. Yeah, we talked about Android Pi. Yeah, we talked about it for a bit. Yeah.
I think I might have dozed off during that part. Darn it.
Amazing. That's amazing. That's nice. The sleep is good. I'm reading.
It is. I'm a little jealous.
I'm reading a book right now called Why We Sleep. It's a good book. It's really good. It's a really good book.
I think I might have been sitting.
What have you learned so far?
What have I learned? Let me see here. Right now, I'm learning a bit about melatonin and jet lag, but it's just started because the book is a little slow to get going.
It's trying to put you to sleep, I think.
He actually says he would encourages falling asleep while reading the book. So that's.
I just learned about this podcast called Sleep With Me, where he talks about.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about this. Anyways, I don't have trouble sleeping, but he talks about. I haven't listened to it either, but he talks about rainbow suspenders for 30 minutes or something like that. Does anyone else have experience
I heard
with
of this on a podcast, on another podcast. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was 99% Invisible, I think.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
They talked about it.
Did you give it a
was
go?
It was the one about the shipping forecast. And then I subscribed to this guy. And my wife sometimes has difficulty sleeping. So I said, let's subscribe to this thing. And I started playing it. Oh, my God. It's just the most grating, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It is appallingly bad to listen to.
Really?
I lasted no more than 3 minutes. I was like, dude, this guy needs to shut the fuck up. And I just hit stop. And it made me enraged and did not make me go to sleep.
I feel like we should do a podcast review bit where we play a
That would be
podcast
fun.
and then riff on it. I like audiobooks for this functionality. Like, it's got to be just the right audiobook. It's got to be a topic I'm kind of interested in, so that way my mind doesn't wander, but not so interested that I can't fall asleep. And it's got to be
Alan does this too, right? Alan does this?
Yeah. And
my go-to is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I can sit and listen to that over and over again, like any number of episodes.
Yeah, I got a couple of podcasts that kind of tend to do that for me, but mostly it's audiobooks. I like my setup. You know, I got Bluetooth speaker in the bedroom. It's nice and loud. But we don't turn it up that loud, but it just has good volume, you know what I mean? So
even if you're on your side,
full
you can hear
sound
it.
And I just set the timer on the Audible app to 30 minutes or whatever.
Nice.
It's nice. It's a way to go. It's a good way to go. Did we come? No, we haven't. We gotta name this thing still.
I did add a swap file to that box.
Good idea.
Until we restart it later.
Hey, that's a great idea. I'm surprised it didn't have swap. When it's ready, the Mutter of Style. In case you missed it, Elementary Graduation, Technical Deck Collections, Gnome on the Range. So we've got a 3-way split right now. Shell Me the Money is funny, but I don't think it really applies to anything more than the pre-show, is my thinking. So Shell Me the Money would be a little better if we had talked about like that donation more in the show. The Mutter of Style, when it's ready, Shell Me the Money. Gnome on the range. Gnome on the range. I think I would drop it or not. If I were going to use that
I
one.
think you would. Yeah.
So go vote. It's way spread out now, and we have a 3-way tie.
Gosh, this is rough. Yeah.
We got to finish this thing up. Wah 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 wah. Do you get attached to your vehicles, like emotionally attached? Like I'm a little sad about getting rid of the truck.
Yeah, I mean, you've spent a lot of your life in there, right?
Yeah, I drove it to Noah's, pulling a trailer. I've driven my kids in that thing forever. Yeah, it's been a good
changes
vehicle.
like that.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it's like it's about to go out on me, but it hasn't yet, so it hasn't failed me yet.
Right. You haven't yet been cursing it as you walk down the highway.
I never had a chance to replace the tires. About a year after I got that thing, it needed the tires replaced, and I've been driving on tires that are literally falling apart, waiting for just a little bit more money because I didn't want to put it on a credit card, and now it seems my solution. I'm just gonna get rid of the thing.
Start fresh.
Do you not get inspected? Like if someone pulled you over, would you get ticketed for it?
I don't think we do. No.
I mean, maybe if you were
wow.
I think they just wait
running
for
ragged.
I mean, you can get pulled over for headlights and stuff, or taillights.
Oh, that's another thing I never got fixed. So the driver's side headlamp has never worked. It worked for the first 2 days that I had the truck. And I was literally I had gotten to Montana where there was no lights, and I was driving along and the headlamp just goes out and never came back on.
Blink.
They replaced all of it: the wiring harness, the bulb, the entire unit, like the whole area of that truck. I have had in there 5 or 6 times, having them trying to fix that light. And somebody once told me, he's like, hey, yeah, my Dodge did that too. It's a computer bug. And at first I'm like, yeah, sure. But then like by the third time, I'm like, hey, this guy once told me it's a computer bug. Have you guys looked to see if the computer's been up to date? And they would just look at me like, what the fuck are you talking about, kid? Like, what are we talking about? Computers up to date.
Computer bug.
So in the UK, if you are caught with a really bald tyre, it's potentially a minimum fine of £2,500 per tyre.
Wow.
Wow. No, I think...
And 3 points on your licence, and if you get 12 points, it's a ban. So if you had 4 bald tyres, potentially you could get a 10 grand fine and banned from driving.
I think there's something about, like, your car is not in a condition to drive, which, like, would cover other things like leaking fluid or, like, dragging your muffler. And I think, like, if your tire's really bad, they could get you for that. But I don't think they specifically have a thing. Yeah, but I did have things peeling off my tires, and I was like, it's probably not good. So, yeah, it was time.
So, like, is your major vehicle the RV, or?
Could you imagine? Oh, could you imagine such a thing? Oh, man. 40-foot RV. That's a bus. That's the length of basically a school bus. Could you imagine if that was my daily commute?
That would be
wow. You should just do the opposite thing and get a scooter.
I seriously would like to. Yeah, I'm basically doing that. I'm going to get a little Golf.
What about a scooter and then like a little red wagon for Levi that
totally,
you pull
dude.
behind it?
Or like a little sidecar.
Used.
Oh, a sidecar, yes.
I have a rental Golf right now, actually. So I'm going to get a Golf. I really liked it. I had one. They're very fast.
Are you partial to a Golf, or are you open to other suggestions?
No, not open to other. No, I've been driving. I've been driving for on and off for about a month. A Golf on and off, or 2 months. No, I mean weeks. Jeez, 2 weeks, on and off. So I like it quite a bit.
Does Hidea still have a smaller car?
Yeah. So now we have 2 smaller cars. Yeah. They both have hatchbacks where the seats hold down. So we can get quite a bit in there, but and they both fit the kids just fine. But you know, she has sort of been toying with the idea of swapping hers out because it has essentially a bogus transmission. I mean, it's not awful anymore. They've done some software updates, but the Ford Focus, I think she has like a 2015, I can't remember, but she has the line where they essentially took an automatic shifter and grafted it on top of a manual transmission. And it sometimes, have you ever been with somebody where they miss a shift and they don't quite get into gear?
Yes.
It does that sometimes as an automatic. And sometimes it does it when you're attempting to accelerate, like say you want to pull out into a turn lane and there's oncoming traffic and you get out and then it goes, and it's terrifying. And so I can deal with it. And one of the ways I get around is I put it in sport mode. It does it less.
Oh, yeah.
But she doesn't want to drive around like that all the time. So she might get a larger vehicle down the road because that's bugging her. I'm kind of like, can't you just stick it out?
Let's get me fixed up here.
Just stick it out. Just stick it out. Just stick it out.
Are you open to a hybrid as well? Because isn't Washington full of charging stations?
Yeah, what would you say? Not up here, but there are some.
Down here in King County, it definitely is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm a guy who's driving a Ford F-350, so...
I can't wait for RVs to go electric, really. If you think about it, that whole downstairs area in a Class A, that whole basement area, could be loaded, if you're willing to give up on a great amount of storage, could be loaded up with batteries down the center of the RV that could not only power the drivetrain, but power the house of the RV too. And then you get to a campground, you plug into a 50 amp or 100 amp service.
Boom.
You charge all your batteries up, and then you can, I mean...
So simple.
It really
Dude, you're
is.
speaking the
Musk,
dream.
are you listening? This is your next idea for the Boring Company.
That'd be good, right?
All you have to do is get John to come back out and put the 50 amp circuit in there for charging station.
Yeah. Jeff, yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be awesome.
I've always wanted to be able to do that, or have an electric car that can get charged by the RV while we're going down the road. So you have an electric car that's being towed by the RV. Wouldn't it be great?
Well, isn't an RV large enough to have solar panels on it?
Oh, sure, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, easily.
You can have solar, and while you're going down the road, those solar are collecting sunlight. You also have, RVs generally have very large alternators. So we have a larger alternator in ours that has an inverter that powers several of the outlets while we're going down the road. So we have things like a couple of televisions that work, outlets and lamps and things like that while we're just driving, because we can generate power while driving. but also vehicles like the Tesla and the Prius generate electricity when they brake. So they have that. What's that called? That
regenerative.
Yeah, yeah. So if I was towing it like a Prius or a Tesla, I gotta wonder if when I would hit the brakes, would it be charging the battery? I don't know. Like, could I get somewhere and have, like, say, I go for like a 300-mile drive or 400-mile drive in the RV using gas, but then I get somewhere and I've got a fully charged electrical vehicle that could probably drive around for another 100 miles. That just got charged up by the drive from the RV. That's, I think, would be pretty sweet.
I'm totally like my next car purchase. My first car purchase. I'm definitely thinking about getting a hybrid because I do a lot of driving and gas price. Even though gas prices are cheap here where I am in Georgia, I would much rather save that money on my street driving with electric.
Of course. What's your vehicle get gas wise?
Like 30-ish.
Yeah,
maybe
that's what I would
less than
think. Yeah, my truck would get between 15 and 16 miles per gallon, which is pretty brutal. And then the thing is, it's also got a 22-gallon tank, so it's $70 plus 76.
Hey,
Chris, what kind of truck was that? I forget.
Ram 1500.
Okay,
with the
yeah.
Hemi in it. And the one nice thing it has, the reason why it even got 16 miles per gallon sometimes is because it would shut off a few of the cylinders at highway speed if you're just cruising. If you accelerate at all, it would turn them back on. But when it would do that, it would save gas. And so it would kind of bring the number up a little bit while you're doing freeway driving.
So what's funny
Does anybody really need a lot of cylinders in their car, to be honest?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yes. I drive a Ford F-350, diesel Ford F-350, because I have a 36-foot travel trailer currently, and I'm looking at upgrading to a fifth wheel.
Oh, yeah,
So,
nice. An apartment on wheels is what those fifth wheels are.
Oh, yes. And it's time. You know, the travel trailer, I realize, is not sustainable, especially for a little boy who is 6 going on 17, you know?
Yeah. You know, the nice thing about those the fifth wheels compared to the travel trailer, besides the space and all the other amenities that they have, they're on a totally different suspension platform. So, like, the place doesn't move around as much, and like you don't have that bounce when everybody's walking around. Like, it's just a more solid rig. So yeah, the only challenge with those fifth wheels that would drive me crazy if I had one is some of them you can't walk around in them with the slides closed. That's just insanity to me.
Well, I can't walk around in my current travel trailer with the slides closed.
No way, really? Oh man.
Yeah, you can't get into the bathroom. You can't get.
Oh no.
You can't get anywhere.
How do you make lunch while somebody's driving going down the road?
Oh, very good question.
Well, you better not be riding in the travel trailer when you're going down the road.
Oh, I tell you. Oh, that's true. I tell you, in Class A, that's a go-to move for us.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Class
babe,
A, that's definitely an
I'm getting
advantage
hungry.
in Class A.
She walks back there and whips me together a sandwich real quick. I tell you what, it's pretty great.
So I was watching a YouTube video today of some guys, and they were doing a tour of their RV that they bought, and it had got 4 sides that pop out.
Oh yeah,
and
nice.
under the front it had a generator.
Yeah.
So they could generate their electricity when they're offline.
Mine's on the
It's
side.
amazing.
Mine's on the side. They do it based on weight.
Generator as well.
Yeah, they place it based on weight. So the one they must have had must have been a diesel. So they got a big old diesel engine in the back. So then the manufacturer puts it up front. But I have a front engine. So mine's on the side to offset my water tanks. So kind of like, based on the weight. Yeah, it's a nice 50 amp generator. It's great. Hello,
The fifth wheel
Noah.
we're looking at is it has 4 slides as well.
Ooh, it's gonna be roomy.
Dude.
Hi, boss.
Hello, sir. How's it going over there? Are you
good.
back in Grand Forks proper, or are you still on the road?
Nope, I got back late yesterday afternoon.
Oh, good.
Well, not late. Maybe early after. I don't know. Whenever I texted you, that's when I just gotten back.
Yeah.
Stopped in. So.
Word. Well, we're still trying to pick a title. What do you think of Gnome on the Range?
I like that. It's a little cowboy, but it's okay. So it reminds me of Alan Hicks. That's what it reminds me of.
Alan Hicks.
Alan Hicks is Gnome on the Range. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll allow it.
That's an inside joke, all of you.
All right, so what's coming up on the Ask More program?
Chris, Chris, the listeners of the Ask Noah program, if they're only listening to the show and they're not going to podcast.asknoahshow.com, checking out the show links, then they're only getting half the content because we never get to all the stuff. But supposedly, before we kick into the hour and throw half of this up because we run out of time, when Linus is excited, we're excited. And when Linus says, I skimmed some code, but it's so good we have to merge it immediately, we know that WireGuard is something we need to talk about. And so we're bringing in a guy who's going to walk us through exactly what it takes to get WireGuard set up, why you should be using it, why you should ditch OpenVPN.
Oh, you bastard!
Nice.
Oh, man.
Lenovo decides that they're going to ship FWUP, and so we're going to be able to update our Lenovo computers, and all those people that have been hitting on Lenovo for a long time are going to have to eat it. Thunderbird 60 is released. I know that's not a real... I know, but this is... Here's the thing. When it's the Ask Noah program, you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about some Thunderbird love when they do some amazing things like incorporate YubiKey authentication. That's right, U2F standard is coming up in Thunderbird 16, so we're going to talk about that. And Google has leaked their plan to rival Sony, PlayStation, and Xbox with their release of a hardware console and turn gaming into gaming as a service. Plus, if that wasn't enough, turns out Southeast Linux mess might not be happening anymore because of some issues that are coming up.
No, don't say that.
And so we have the exclusive on that, and we're going to break all of that down.
That's 2 shows. That's too many shows. That's
it is. You know what's funny? It actually, at the moment, I don't think I can cram this all into one episode. And I think it's important enough that we have to talk about some of this. So what the plan is right now is to have 2 special edition Ask Noahs that are going to come out later in the week. The problem is, I wasn't going to say that because
you're not sure if you're going to do it.
Why not? But that, and then the other thing is too is like I want everyone to stick around for the hour, even if it is just clickbaity tease. Come on,
sure. Yeah,
why not call it a back to school special?
So you got to do good on the WireGuard stuff because Wes and I have been formulating our plan of attack on covering WireGuard. So we're going to be watching closely, Noah.
Sure will.
Sit back and take tips, son.
Good for you for bringing somebody on. That's a good way to go.
Yeah, that was my thought. Well, because the thing is, we set up. I can talk IPsec up and down all day long because we do it all the time. But I've never set up WireGuard, and my understanding from the people that are in the know is it's a much better choice. So I figured, why not go to the horse's mouth? And if they can convince me, well, then they can convince everybody that's listening.
I'm fascinated by the topic. I think it's going to be a project that is going to be a very competitive feature for Linux, and I bet you the BSD guys will be ripping it off very soon. Oh, no, they have their own stuff. That's fine. They got their own thing. I kid. They got their own thing.
The BSD guys have gotten beat up so bad in this episode.
I know.
It's usually pretty warranted.
I mean, they give us hard times. So.
No, I might have a real quick question about something, so I might.
Sure.
I'll put in the chat room real quick.
Hey, there's a port.
It's not the one that I just posted. It's something else.
FreeBSD port for WireGuard. It might just probably just. No, it'd have to be just the user space version.
Okay. Yeah. That would make sense. I would imagine. Yeah. Well, Noah, I guess we should probably clear the streams out and.
All right.
Yeah. Get things ready. So, anyways, you have yourself a great show. I will. So YouTube, that's going to go down first, guys. So prepare yourselves, but it'll be back soon, and then the JB live stream will go down next, and then it'll be the Noah program coming up.
Ooh.
Noah show. Oh, Noah show. Boop, 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 boop. Nope, no problem.
You know, I said that to somebody the other day. I think I said it to the Kidoba girl as I was going through the line, and she goes, "What's a boost?" And I'm like, nobody's ever asked me before. You're just supposed to read between the lines and figure it out. And then I think that made it sound like all sexual and weird, and then it just went downhill from there.
I am so awkward at coffee places, and with baristas. I am just so awkward for some reason, because I don't know the lingo and I don't do it very often.
Oh, I shut people down, dude. I had a woman at Starbucks that tried to pull that on me with. I was like, I want a large latte, and she's like, excuse me, we don't have large, small, medium. We have venti.
Oh, God.
I'm like, no, I don't. I want a large. Like, the largest one you have, that's the one I want. We're in America. Large is a word. Give me a lot. I shut people down when they try to pull the crap.
That's brand identification.
No, it's not. That's being an asshole. That's what that is.
All right, I'm going.
No wonder they have sensitivity training.
Oh, did I actually clear? I don't know if I.
Get the stream out here.
All right. Well, now that we got that on the live stream, that's probably.